Gather round, gather round. Is that my delivery? Gather round, gather round. Gather round, gather round. I'm about to mute myself for about 30 seconds. I just saw my mailman deliver some shit to the wrong address. And so, yeah, I'm going to mute my thing for about 30 seconds and I'm going to get y'all to come on in here. In the meantime, Miss G, you can take over or you can keep it quiet, but I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Hey, what's good, everybody? If you guys can tweet out the space, we're going to get it popping. I know I was supposed to watch a movie. We're going to do this for a good 2 hours, and then I will be watching the movie. I swear to God, we're about to get on that movie. But I'm so excited for what our brother Dwan is doing right now. So we're going to burn in this night oil. Hey, the New Black Archives, Media Archives, and Nisi T. And Miss D, welcome to the space, guys. Tweet it out. And our brother's about to get it started in a few moments. Hopefully, you guys, while Devon is getting everything ready, hopefully you guys were able to register for the movie premiere on Sunday. This is going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing. He's asking for a $35 donation so that he can pay for the next part of the series. So if you can just buy just one ticket, if you can buy two, that'll be great also. But definitely support this platform. He's actually giving the movie away free. And I think he's so humble. He really is humble for doing that because he put in a lot of work and it takes a lot of financial resources to get it done. But it'll be dope if you can definitely reach out and get that, sign up for it so you can be in attendance to the event. Plus, it's going to be a Q&A at the end of it. So that's going to be dope because asking being able to ask the questions and really dive into what it's bigger than hip hop is all about. That's going to be a beautiful thing. So
All right,
definitely.
cool.
All right.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, I got a neighbor. I got a mailman that don't we forget that don't know how to read the addresses on a goddamn wall. So that goes. But, yeah, so that's what we here. We talking about. So, what does hip hop and music mean to you? Um, this is gonna be an open discussion. Um, there are no right or wrong answers. Just getting overall feeling of what music means to different people, because music means different things to different people. And I think the importance of us as those from the soil, those from here, I think our point of view and how we view things and what it means to us is what matters the most. Because, our music, in order for it to get back to the point to the standard that we want in a bigger way, what we think about the music and how we embrace what's out there matters a lot. So I think that's very important that we constantly, just check in with how we feel and how we see things, because this is another reason why I'm having this conversation. And before we get all the way into it, Black folks and Miss G, I'm sure you can attest to this. We haven't stopped making great music. R&B is still alive and well and in good shape. If you know where to look, rap music, whatever genre you like, the music is still around and it's still there, and it's still in good shape. It's just that these sounds aren't they're not mass marketed. I won't say mass produced because there's a lot of people out there making this good music. Um, just in the last month, Terrace Martin and Alex Izzy dropped a dope R&B album. Brandon Williams, so many. Truth Hurts has something coming out. And so it's still there. But if we don't have these communications, if we don't talk about it, if we don't acknowledge what's there, we tend to get caught up in these traps of what the mass media is putting out there and their version of our culture. So another reason, like for a discussion like this, to have these type of discussions is to talk. So when we see these things that are outside of us, our approval as a culture, that's how it's probably not something that we created from within. It's something that came from the outside in. And there's been a lot of that when it comes to our music. Most of what we know as far as mainstream music and what they call cultural black people, that ain't us. I get tired of that. They be like, you'll see Sexy Red or these people. People like Sexy Red have always been running jokes. Sexy Reds have never been people that we've uplifted. People like Sexy Red have always been around. I'm not gonna act like we're perfect. Sexy Reds, those type of black women have always been here, but they were always nothing to take serious. And so the fact that your Sexy Reds are being quote unquote taken serious is another proof positive that hey, she probably ain't ours. So what does hip hop and what does music mean to me in general? For me, music is life, and it's an interpretation of life. It's instructions on life, keys on how to live life. It's meditation. It's everything surrounding life. That's what music means to me. Music is life. So I want to open up the floor. So Miss J, I'm definitely want to hear what you got to say about it. But if you want to talk about what music means to you and how important it is that, because not only do we're going to ask what does music mean to you, how far are you willing to go to protect it? How far are you willing to go to preserve and protect the integrity of this thing we know as music, this element of life? So I want to hear what you have to say, Miss G, about that. Then we're gonna, if anybody else wants to speak, make sure you raise your hand.
Yes, no, I'm so glad that you're having a conversation. And again, I'm so glad we're doing this build up. Right before you drop that it's bigger than hip hop. One thing that they've tried to separate from us is our music from our culture. It's one and the same. It's the sounds of our culture. It's always a mirror reflection of our experiences collectively. Most of our music, you can hear the struggle in it, but you can still also hear how we can love ourselves through the struggle. You can also hear how we can not love ourselves through the struggle. We can hear it's so much emotion that's attached to it, but it's the emotions of our experiences. And they try to say culture and they flatten what culture is, but it's really a specific culture. It's our culture, especially the music that comes out of our communities. So when it comes to what does hip hop and music mean to you, it just means life, our lives, our experiences. And I'm going to fight like hell to hold on to it, every single piece of it. I think being a musician, artist myself, um, being a musician, I love going into the studio and just creating. I deal with a lot of live instruments. So you get into a studio, you can make about 5 songs just by playing around with different sounds. And you start writing about things you hear a beat, and it's almost like that beat tells you what to write about, and it's usually related to an experience. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, and it also is a way that we can like balance out the things that we're going through. It's one of the most important things that we have right now. It's um next to living to me, especially like music. Everything is surrounded music. So for me anyway. So, but to me, yeah, hip hop means life.
Yeah, that is. I remember it was something Michael Jackson said a long time ago. And when I first heard him say that when I was a child, I didn't get what he was saying, and I didn't understand it until later. He'd always say, "What is life without a song?" And this is when he was going through a lot of his first set of accusations in the early '90s. I remember him just telling me how like they attack, how all they do is attack the artist. They attack him for no reason, and I mean, all he wants to do is provide a song. And And in the way musicians and the original artists in America are treated, the black artists. I remember Michael Jackson talking about how, like, that's not right, because where would we be without music, without the song? Can you think of like anything in life that happens without a song? Think about a movie. I like using movies for example because you mentioned something earlier about live instrumentation and the importance of live instrumentation. Notice movies, especially a serious movie, they don't skimp when it comes to instrumentation. First of all, there's no movie you're gonna find without music. You'll find a movie without words before you find one without music. Go back to them silent films, when they had the music playing, over the film. You can watch a TV show. You can watch TV on mute. You know what I mean? But if you listen, you can't. You can watch like a commercial on mute, but you still can't get a commercial. You're not going to get it without the music. You can't watch a movie on mute and know what's going on. The music, you cannot hear the words. You can take all the words out of a movie and you would know everything going on in that movie just based on the music. Horror films. The minute you hear that dun 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 dun, minor chords and those, it's certain scales that the artist can play that's going to draw a certain emotion out of you. Why am I saying that? Movies. Earlier, she mentioned live instrumentation and how important that is. And if you notice, you can't go watch like a film with any budget and it not have any live instruments in this music. When you watch those horror films and those suspense movies, when you hear all those strikes and hits, those are live orchestras with full on string, horn. These are 64-piece, 92-piece, 108-piece orchestras orchestrating these movies. They don't sit around and plug those movies and put them through auto tune. They don't sit around and create some kind of beatbox for those important parts of a movie that need to transmit a feeling. They use the live sound. They do not play because they understand music connects to your spirit. And the more live the instrument, the more you're going to get that connection. And I thought about that last night. Last night I went to go see Jacques, the Jacques, the young R&B singer, the one who a few years ago called himself the king of R&B. Remember when he was all on his head like, young nigga, calm down. But I went to go see him last night perform, and I like the young bull's energy. I like his energy. He's a great performer. He puts on a hell of a show. He did like an hour and 15, 20 minute long set. High energy. He's a good dancer. He was good. But the issue was it was a live track. And that's like a new thing that they're putting in the music now. And of course, like everything else, they started with us. There's a new category, like this category called Best Live Recorded Track. So now they're going from they went from having bands tour with the artist to basically a DJ. Now it's a DJ, but instead of having the program studio music, they basically record the live sound in studio and play that live sound behind the singer. And it's crap. Yeah, it sounds live, but you don't get the energy of the point of having live is to be there and have the energy of those human beings, souls exchanging information through sound. And that experience, that soul exchange, is what really makes for a grand show. That soul exchange is the reason why Frankie Beverly and Maze could tour 30 years after his last album, 20 years after he lost his voice. Frankie Beverly lost his voice over 20 goddamn years ago, still touring. You see your Jill Scott, your Erykah Badu's, they haven't released music in a long time. They're still selling out basketball stadiums because it's something about that connection. Music does that, you know what I mean? And And to close on that point, I was saying about Jacques, the young singer. If he had him not having a band, if he wants longevity, if he wants to still be touring and selling out shows 15, 20 years after his last hit, he's going to have to incorporate that live sound. And that's just what it is. And because it's that connection part of it. Oh, but shit, I see we got a speaker up here. I didn't even know he was up here. Miss G, you go ahead. I'm gonna kick it back to you, then we're gonna kick to our speaker. But yeah, I'm gonna close on my point on the other side of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. When it comes to playing the instruments and just building a song, it's an art to it. But the biggest thing that we have mastered is the emotional attachment to it. One thing that you was just referencing was how you watch a movie and it's always music to it. Honestly, movies they have known this forever. This is why musicals were so popular and still popular today. This is why even when we were growing up, I don't know how much you guys remember with it, like even going back in the 90s and the late 80s and even down to the 70s, soundtracks. My favorite ultimate soundtrack of all times is The Wiz. I love that soundtrack, and like it brings you back to parts of the movie. And that's how, like, even to attract us to a lot of the movies, they had to incorporate the music because it adds the emotion. You'll watch a movie, and for the suspense build up, they have a certain type of music, and you are emotionally either distressed or depressed or happy. It does all of that for you. That's the beauty with music. That's why I say I really can't see life without it. So that's a big.
That's real talk. You can't see life without it. When it comes to the movies, I thought about that. We talk about musicals. The Boomerang soundtrack. That was one of my favorite soundtracks back in the '90s. Boomerang. You think about the Shaft soundtrack. Uh, probably more people heard Curtis Mayfield's uh soundtrack more than they seen the movie. The Mac soundtrack. The soundtrack to the Mac still getting sampled. Uh, from I Do Love You flipped into throw some bees on that bitch, but that comes out of a soundtrack, the Mac. You know what I mean? And it was dope at my show. I'm gonna get to you, nicely, girl. I don't know. Were you there when Keith Washington came in towards the end of the night? Because he was on one of my favorite soundtracks, the Boomerang sound, singing "Tonight Is the Night." It was dope. Keith Washington came down to the show. Nice to hear. I'm gonna kick it to you. Were you there when he came in? Did you see him?
Peace. No, I wasn't. I slid out a little early because I had to be at work at 6 a.m. So I came out though to support, of course. But I
Next
slid
show
out.
gonna be 8 o'clock. It's gonna be we finished talking about it now. Next show gonna be earlier. All
We
right.
did well. The next one, I just already said I'm taking off the next day, regardless, so I can just experience the whole thing and just sleep in. So don't worry about that. But I wanted to just talk on the topic Zell was saying about the instrumentation at you guys' music show on this past Wednesday. And for anyone that missed it, the first thing that they did once Dwan came out, to host, we did every musician did a solo. And that just ignited my soul. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't wait for, the musicians to come out and sing, the singers to come out and sing. But the band itself, y'all, like it literally energizes your soul. I can't really explain it, but it just lights a fire in you. So for me, music is love, it's family. Music can get you in different moods, whether that's love, you know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I heard that.
Now
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
You good? You
Yeah,
good?
It can get
somebody.
I
you in
think it was some interference, but you good.
different moods when you're talking about soundtracks. A horror movie, certain music come on, we know somebody about to die. A movie, certain music comes on, we know it's about to be a love scene. So music, channels all of that. And I don't know where we would all be without music. This morning I got up and I cleaned up to gospel. I was in the mood for gospel this morning, and it got me in here pulling furniture all off the wall, wiping walls and stuff. So music is just, it's everything. And I know I wouldn't be who I am without it. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for letting me speak, Dwan.
I'm so glad you made a really, really, really good point. And thank you again for coming out. And for those of you who don't know what you're talking about, I have a music night every other Wednesday here in LA. Me and Tashina Arnold. She sings, and people don't know how great of a singer she is until you see her in person. I mean, like no, like Truth Hurts came, and Truth Hurts is a great singer. She's was trained in opera, and she sang her song. But when she came on and sang after that, you you was trying to figure out who was the professional singer and who was the actress by the time she was done. So yeah, we do that. We do the live music event live and in person every other Wednesday. We'll be back at it November 22nd. And but you said something about knowing what's going on and the emotion of it. And music is very emotional. And when I started the show off, I start the show off with solos on purpose because I want the feeling, I want the energy of those of everyone's soul. Everything I talk about in these Twitter spaces in my documentary, I put all of this stuff to the test live on my show. And you get when you listen to what people say when they walk away with the exact feeling I want them to have when I set the show up musically. Because when the music is right, when you get human beings playing through their soul, that's going to heal you. It's going to make you feel better, no matter what's going on. Even if they having a bad day and that bad day is coming through that instrument, we all got bad days. Even if we having a good day, we're gonna relate to the bad day that person having, and it's gonna be something that in that sound that's coming out is going to heal us. An example, and I'm gonna get to my speakers. An example is a song by Funkadelic called "The Maggot Brain" with Eddie Hazel on guitar. The Maggot Brain, before Eddie Hazel played that, George Clinton went up to him and told him his mother died. Play something. So he Eddie Hazel thinking his mother's dead is fiddling around on the guitar, just sort of playing what's coming through his soul because he's hurting. And if you listen to the song, it's a cry. It's a cry to that guitar um, when he's playing the Maggot Brain. Um, I want to play it, but damn, I want to put this up on YouTube, but I want to play it too. But anyway, there's a cry to the Maggot Brain as Eddie Hazel is going through, and the song builds, and it just that song came out 10 years before I was born, and I can't not listen to that live version of the Maggot Brain, Eddie Hazel or Mike Hampton's version, and listen to them play that 8 minute long guitar solo that came out of at the time what the man thought was the worst day of his life. That's what music is. You know what I mean? It's the emotionality of it. When Skip Scarborough wrote Love Ballad by LTD, he wrote that song for Earth and the Fire. They just didn't want it, so it went to LTD. And that song came because when that hook, that famous hook that we love, and what we have is much more than they can see. That came from a really, really, really sensitive man who was heartbroken over his wife, thinking that there's more going on. That he's cheating, thinking that it's all these things going on and that weren't going on in his life. So the emotion of his wife misinterpreting, his busy music career and his love letter to her. That's why it's called Love Ballad because it was already other songs named Love Letter. So in the song Love Ballad, when he's saying what we have is much more than they can see, he wrote that song in conjunction with Don't Ask My Neighbors, the song by The Emotions. You wondering if I care about you? Is there some cause that I will doubt you? Um, all I can see is that you don't know me very well. Those lyrics, those two songs came out, were written within an hour apart from each other. Um, off of heartbreak. And you see how the poetry, the humanity within our sound. You listen to some of these other folks and some of the music that these white folks like to release. Because I always like to draw a difference between what we released when we did it on our own and what these white folks like release from with our face on it or with their music. Their music, when they talking about love, they talking about all kind of bullshit. Matter of fact, have you even heard of a genuine love song get played on the radio lately? When's the last time you heard something? Even when you get to the '90s and the 2000s, by the time you get to the year 2000s, the love song of the year 2000, and I'm ashamed because that's when I was 19. That was the year I graduated high school in '99, and in my first year of college, the love song of the year was, well, the radio play love song of the year was "Meet Me at the Altar." We ain't getting no younger, so we might as well do it. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Them lyrics from day one is ass horrible. You gonna marry somebody else because you might as well get. That ain't no fucking love lyric. You know, when you compare it to what's going on, what used to go on when we curated our music without them. So it's just, yeah, it's an emotionality into it, and I'm glad you brought that part up about the emotion of it and that part. Um, I don't know who was next, Mix G.
Yeah.
Kick it to them, and then we'll keep going.
We got Miriam up next, but can I just say when Nisi T did
Go ahead.
call out, she called out the influence of like the leaders, those teachers that were like when you listen to like it's a song from Big Daddy Kane where he got like um the minister Louis Farrakhan on there. It's a powerful track, and like you would listen to it and you would just hear the influence from our educated people. And she was talking about how she got in touch with, like, that's how she learned so much about the teachers within our communities. That's what I love about hip hop back in the day. It wasn't about murder kill. Actually, I don't really recall any of it being about murder kill. If you really go back, even the
It
guests,
wasn't.
it wasn't a thing.
It was. If anything, they were saying this is what I saw,
Right.
and usually within going back to NWA, they may be reporting on what they saw.
Exactly.
And when they bring up what they saw, they would always have a consequence. Yeah, and that's why he was dead. That's why he was in jail. If they did bring up drugs or murder, it was always, yeah, and that nigga dead too. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was never a murder brought up and that person
Cautionary
goes
tale.
away for the sunshine.
Yeah. It was kind of like how, and even though Slick Rick was a guest, but he was very respectful to our culture. And when you listen to the cop shot the kid, to still hear them scream, like I can see that story. Like when he would even rap the song, I could see the story. But you listen to all of them, even when it got to Pac. That's why I like a lot of stuff with Tupac. Like he would tell a whole story. Like when I think about Dear Mama or Brenda's Got a Baby, like you can listen to those lyrics and you can imagine. We could get visuals, and see this music used to force you to create visuals in your mind of the experiences. And you can only create visuals of things that you understand or can relate to. So then you start relating it to things that you're going through. And then our music will pull us out of circumstances because we was listening to it like keep your head up, and people listening to that and they're imagining, they're visualizing the experiences, and then they figure out a way to keep their head up and keep going in a positive direction. So now
Yeah.
they terrorize the music. Everything is kill, drug yourself up. But yeah,
To increase your point, before I go to the next person,
yep,
um, party music. I and tonight when I'm done with you guys, I'm gonna go into a straight up music sound bath. I make sure I do that to cleanse my field, my air, my auric field. I just got to go into music, and anything negative I experience throughout that day, I allow music to wash it away. Um, but when you get into that music of the early party music, one of the party songs of the '70s was "Fight the Power" by the Isley Brothers. "Fight the Power" and "Harvest for the World" were two of the Isley Brothers' biggest upbeat songs. They talked about "In Between the Sheets," yeah, yeah, but go back and listen to "Harvest for the World," "All Babies Together." You know, have those of us who pay the price come home with the least. We as a black folks, we're dancing to that. We were dancing to "And Nation After Nation is tarnished by our greed." Uh, when we listen to Earth and Fire, Parliament. We listen to their early stuff. America Eats Is Young was one of their early dance tunes. America Eats Is Young. Uh, these were songs that were talking about free your mind and your ass will follow. For the kingdom of heaven is within. That was the chant that was being said. Free your mind and your ass to follow. For the kingdom of heaven is within. And man, look, I was gonna put this shit up. Man, I think I might actually play some music. Fuck it. Just not put it up on YouTube. Um, but free your mind, your ass will follow. You listen to Earth and Fire, that's the way of the world. We listen to a lot of that stuff. The song is a song called Mighty Mighty for Earth and Fire. That's one of their early dance hits. One of their early breakout hits before Earth and Fire blew up into the mega band they were. Is a song on the Open Our Eyes album. I think it was 1973. It's a song called Mighty Mighty. Go back and listen to those lyrics. Those lyrics say, "We are the mighty people we're the mighty, mighty people of the sun. And in our hearts lie all of the answers to the truth you cannot run from." That whole song is about being black. It's about the people of the sun, saying, "We are the people of the sun. We're the mighty, mighty people of the sun." And that was a major dance track in the early 70s, one of Earth and Fire's early breakout tracks. Michael Jackson, when you listen to Another Part of Me, that's a song, that's a highly spiritual. So Michael Jackson was really spiritual. Michael Jackson, oh, you want to talk about drawing in some high level spirit shit that Christianity cannot conceive because this is too deep? Listen to Michael Jackson. For those of you, when you want, Michael Jackson had Bobby Hemmett lessons within his music. Before we knew who Bobby Hemmett was, there's a lot of a lot of Bobby Hemmett within Michael Jackson. A lot of your Bobby Hemmett stuff that you listen to in the '90s, a lot of the stuff you find in Earth and Fire, Michael Jackson, and Parliament Funkadelic. That's why that's my holy trinity. Oh yeah, and Stevie Wonder. That's my quad. Stevie Wonder. Those four is who I go to when I need to hear from God, because is deeper than their dance music. I mean, it's deeper than the stuff that they released that sold tens of millions of copies. That music is cool, but when you dig into those people's albums, Stevie Wonder, have a talk with God. That was all about having a talk with yourself. Love's in need of love today. You know, that's man. It's true in hip hop. It's true in rap. It's true in R&B. It's true in all of our shit. The common denominator is it was all true when black people owned the record labels. It was true, and we were the ones that had the final decision on what got released and what didn't get released. R&B got cheesy in the '80s when that shit got all bought up by white-owned companies. All the black stuff was bought up, other than Motown, by the time you get to the '80s. So R&B got cheesy and cheap without a message as you get to the '80s and the '90s. Hip hop is where all the messages went for the '80s and the early '90s. But by the time you get to the late '90s, now mostly all the hip hop labels are bought up by in their right run. So by the time you get to the early 2000s, you get to that fuck boy era of rap. Um, but I know that was long winded. I think Miriam was first, then the Atavis. But go ahead, Mister. You say something, you kick it. I'm gonna shut up.
Nope, it's all good. We can pass it right on over to Miriam. And thanks, Nisi T and Miss Miriam. It is on you.
Thank you. Hey, brother Dewan B, Black First, and shout out to you. Looking forward to the 12th, and definitely giving support on that level, as well as um, making sure that this series kick off. We need it. I'm so proud of, like I said before, both yourself and Tyreek. I can't give you both uh enough flowers, because this is very significant that we sew this up to stop the erasure that's going on with our culture. And it starts with our music, because they believe that if they can erase what it is that you contribute through your music, through your art form, and that's like taking a piece of your spirit. Because as you were talking, Music is so spiritual. And I look at music not only physically and emotionally, but metaphysically. There's no, if you, the tones, the beats, the bops, the highs, the lows, the ins, the outs, the all around, all the way breaking into the vibration, which resonate color. And then it feeds back into you and resonate with all of your chakras and things of that nature. It is truly healing, and it heals every state of mind that you mind. Okay, even when you don't realize you need to rest your mind, there's even tones and vibrations that get you to a whole nother plateau to reach your inner God. Okay, to reach you who God truly is. And God does sit in the soul, and the soul is the heart, and spirit is the action and the movement of just knowing you're alive and that thing that be. So, having said that, I definitely love Michael Jackson. I remember some of my older brothers and sisters putting some MJ on, and he used to have this one song. I think it's well, here's how I go. People all over the world, just the same everywhere I go. And he was talking about how he had this feeling that something in my pocket reaching in, and some you gotta stop it. But I used to love that as a little, like, as a little girl. I used to love it and the tone of it. And then you better pump the water out of Tiny Tim. He didn't mean no harm, you know, songs like that. And then of course you have your Earth, Wind and Fire, and as you were saying, and Stevie Wonder. They are the great pillars. And then you also have, like, I love me some Donny Hathaway, and other it's just so soulful in what it is that they contribute to us. And you can definitely feel it, as Sister Giselle was saying. Like, you can feel that deep penetrating emotion when they're happy, when there's joy, when there's sadness, experiencing heartbreak, as you were saying, Brother Dewan B, and loss. And the music reflects that. The music also reflects celebration. So that's your celebrating tunes or your party tunes. And then it also reflects revolution, the pushback against the systematic racism and white supremacy, the many other oppressions of freedoms and rights, and protesting war, and protesting, um, the war on our very own community, and times and tribulations that we all tend to suffer, and the discriminations of the time. And it always had a loud voice. Um, Even when you get to talking about, um, shoot, as a matter of fact, even Willie D.
Question, Miriam, what
Mhm.
does hip hop and music mean to you?
It means life. It means breath of life. It means elevation outside of oneself and cosmically traveling on the many vibrations of color. That's what music means to me. It's bigger than it goes from hip hop, but it always goes back to the very birth of gospel, R&B, jazz, and rock. All that we encompass, we are music. Music is us, and music
Thank
is life.
you. And I'm gonna get back to you. I want to get through people. I know Adams had his hand up for a minute, so I don't mind you come back up to speak. But I brought it back. I brought it back to that. What does music mean to you? Because that's what we're here to discuss. And here's the reason why I put hip hop in there. And I'm glad you said the way you worded it that way, Miriam. Because I put hip hop in there for the algorithm, honestly. And these conversations I hear people talk, they always just equate music as if hip hop is the only thing. That's why I put hip hop and music, because it's music. But the conversation today is hip hop. People like to act as if hip hop is some separate thing, as if it doesn't do, as if every other form of music don't cause people who listen to that form of music the same feelings, you know. And that's part of my mission, is to break that chain on a lot of our minds about everything being hip hop. Yeah, hip hop this, hip hop that, hip hop this, and hip hop is great, but dude, chill. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you neglecting every other goddamn kid. It's like somebody having a bad football team, Football team got 20, got 11 players on the team on the field at once. If you only focus on a goddamn receiver, you neglecting other. You gonna lose the game. You got 10 other creations out there, homie. You got a whole defense. That's another 11 players. You got 64-person team. You focus on one of them kids, on only one of them. That's basically what it is as us as black folks when we just be like, oh, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Nigga, you got hundreds of kids. You talking about one? That ain't cool. Nigga, it's music. And hip hop, and I don't mean to bust some of y'all bubbles out there, but hip hop ain't special. I'm gonna say that shit till I'm blue in the face. Niggas will be acting like hip hop is some special thing. Like, oh, hip hop just came and did something that's never been done before. Chill, nigga. No, everything we create do that. People who are in the alternative, rock and roll and metal, we created it. It did that same thing hip hop does for you. Rock and roll did that for black folks who are into the alternative sound. The same thing hip hop did to you, the black folks like me who are more so into the neo soul music sound, that did that to me. All that shit, oh, hip hop, nigga, Erica Badu gave me the same feeling, God damn it, Tupac gave you. How about that? Because it's music. And I'm just so tired of this thing with hip hop this and hip hop that. No, nigga, rap. Me is black music. It's black music. Black music. But I'm running, the Advent's been having this hand up for a long time and he got kicked out. So I'm gonna get to you, man, at the Atavist before you get kicked out again by this Twitter space. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, good evening, family. What's up, Dwan B? Man. All right, I'm gonna get right to the point, y'all. I'm trying to finish up this work day driving around. What does hip hop and music mean to me? Um, for me, it clicks. It's the ultimate connector between my family, my lineage, and my people. I'm a child of born in 1967. So, and I have an older brother. So I lived through the 70s, the 80s, and 90s music. And much like Dwan B, it's all about those great four. Real quick, in 1976, when what I would consider to be the greatest album of all time that came out, Stevie Wonder put lyrics on, you know, on the songs in the Key of Life. And those lyrics allowed me as a 9-year-old to learn that Garrett Morgan, created the gas mask.
A black
Yeah.
man. That song, A Black Man.
Yes. Also, you know, it just connects everything. Like hip hop to me is just the last manifestation of us as a people, and it's a protest. I still consider the message by Melly Mel one of the greatest. That third verse is one of the greatest. When we talk about visualizing, when he says, a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind, God is smiling on you, but he's frowning too. I mean, damn, that shit still makes me, because I was that kid. You know what I'm saying? I was that kid. And lastly, what it does, our music, it radiates through all of us. It not only does it connect memory, but we can use it as a weapon, and that's why it's been taken away from us, because nobody else but foundational Black Americans have that in our soul. That's why it's soul music, and they've taken the soul out of music. So, in conclusion, I love my people. I love what we can do. We will win this fight. And music is just one aspect of the fight that we have. And everybody knows, or should know, that white supremacy is going to attack us through economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, and
Yep.
war. Peace. I'm out. Thank you, people.
Peace, brother. Peace, man. Yeah, man, that's 100,000% on point. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop y'all down after you speak, because there's a lot of people that want to get up here and speak. So we're gonna have to maintain space. If you're a new speaker, we're starting to get more requests now. So keep your comments under 2 minutes, and we will allow you back up. But I want to get it going because I will be long winded. I'm gonna stay long winded. You dig what I'm saying? I might go on 5-10 minute tangents, but that's because it's my room. But everybody else, Ms. G might go on some tangents. Um, Nicely girl, you can speak whenever you want also, but everyone else, just make sure you keep your comments under 2 minutes. But you're right about that, because you talk about the message, and in our music we keep that message over and over through different genres. That's what it's all, the common genre is blackness. when you brought up the message, I thought about a song by Isaac Hayes that if you haven't heard it up, it's called Soulsville. Look it up. It's called Soulsville. Black man born free. At least that's the way it's supposed to be. You know? And it talks about rent is 2 months due in a building that's falling apart. Little boy needs a pair of shoes. And this is and if you were hungry, what would you do? And this is only a part of Soulsville. Soulsville was just talking about living in the ghettos in America. Beautiful song in 3/4 time. Another thing, we don't do music in 3/4 no more. What happened to all the music in 6/8? Do you know 6/8 is the time signature of the heart? The reason why a lot of church music is in 6/8 because your heart beats at 6/8. And when you have songs like "Be Ever Wonderful" by Earth and Fire, and a lot of those good gospel tunes in 6/8. When you get a good song in that time signature, it just that's just a time signature of unity and coming together and opening your expression. And these are all things that are in our music. You know what I mean? That interpret our lives. But Miss G, I'm gonna kick it to you as a co-host. Say what you gotta say, and then whoever's next, kick it to them.
Yes, again, you're right. This is why they're systematically trying to change how we were using science and didn't even know we were using science. Music is a science. It just the way that it helps to it creates chemical reactions in our bodies. These emotional responses. It's an amazing tool, and this is why they had to weaponize it. This is why they oust death metal. Remember when death metal came out years ago? It quickly died because a whole bunch of white people started committing suicide. And guess what? They fed it to our people. Now you hear an influx of um an influx of people who are talking about committing suicide. That was never a thing. Regardless of what our people ever went through, we'd be like, we can make it through. You turn on the song and you like, Mary, even though her stuff be like 11 years out of my life, you don't get I'm gonna kill myself out of that. You get, dang, that was a effed up situation, but I'm gonna keep it
You get, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna shed a tear. That's what you get out of that.
exactly. Exactly, you get, you know what, I'm about to keep it moving, and that's how we always have it went through things in our lives. Now we're hearing an influx of committing suicide. If you listen to the new Meg the Stallion song, she's talking about being depressed and not want to be here. I'm like, how you singing this and rapping this and you dancing like in a certain it's kind of mental disease you selling our kids, and it's kind of scary. Because now how are those youths going to interpret that message that she's putting in that, and like
You
what is
get
going to
music like
action? Yeah.
when we were doing, like, think about Curtis Mayfield on the Claudine soundtrack. The Claudine, she was in a screwed up situation, living in the projects, wasn't nothing going right. But what do you get out of that? A song called "Make Yours a Happy Home." You know, that's one of the most beautiful songs by Gladys Knight and the Pips. "Make Yours a Happy Home," and that song was written out of poverty, out of dire circumstance. No matter what goes on, we had songs, Miss G, Miss Giselle, like William Devon, "Be Thankful." Most people remember the hook, "Diamond in the Back," the sun rooftop, digging the scene with a gangster lean. But listen to the rest of the message in that song. That song is saying, just be thankful for what you got. You may not have a car at all. Just remember, brothers and sisters, you can still stand tall. Just be thankful for what you got. Though you may not drive a Cadillac, diamond in the back, sun rooftop, dig in the scene with a gangster lean. Ooh, ooh. You see how the fuck we flip poverty, nigga? Like, if I was gonna say if we could encapsulate the true struggle of the Black American in one song, it's probably that. It's probably "Be Thankful" by William Devon. And that's another reason I don't get into one hit wonders and who had a longer career. It's people who had 15, 20-year long careers who never sang a song that's as important as "Be Thankful." I'm telling you, no matter what you driving, no matter what you in, no matter how you feel about yourself, even though you don't have it, be thankful. And then flip it into one of the coldest ass nigga rhymes of all time. Diamond in the back, sun rooftop, big in the scene with a gangster lean. Bruh, you can't pay, can't pay 100,000. You can't pay 10,000 of every white person, non-black person that's ever won a Grammy, an Emmy, an Oscar, an EGOT. You can put them all in the room together. You're never going to get a line as cold as "Diamond in the back, sun rooftop, digging the scene with a gangster lean." It doesn't get better than that. But then you wrap that message in a song about being thankful for what you got. That's who the fuck we are. That's why we're having this space. What is hip hop? What does music mean to you? We're talking about what music really is. And for those of you who don't know, I got my documentary premiere dropping Sunday. My website is on my profile, DwannB.com. Get your purchase your pass for the live stream Q&A. The documentary's free. I ain't selling a documentary. This documentary, what I am doing is doing a fundraiser so I can create a full season of what you're gonna see on Sunday. Breaking down the history of music. We're gonna have a Q&A section at the end so you can hear what I'm talking about. So yeah, go to DwannB.com and donate to the GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe up on my website too, DwannB.com. Donate to that. And if you're in LA on Wednesdays, me and Tashina Arnold got a live music night. A lot of these concepts I'm breaking down live in person with a live band. I just got a dope ass bass player. The last bass player we had was cool, but I just got a motherfucker today on bass, and so shit. Like we got singers that sang with the Kanye choir when that was going on, musicians that play with everybody in the world. Truth Hurts dropped her new single at our event last time. The next one we got even a bigger artist that's gonna be by there. So this is a whole ass music project that I'm a part of, and so that I'm creating, I should say. And we all gotta be. I appreciate everybody supporting that. Miss G, I'm gonna kick it to you, and then whoever's next. You tell whoever's next.
Yes, no, thank you. We're gonna keep the floor to hands on the stage. Next up, we got Miss Lisa. Welcome to the space.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a rough couple of days, Miss G. Some stuff going on, but I could not pass this room without saying something. I am a New Yorker. I'm 58. And to me, personally, we saw hip hop as a culture. But me being born in the mid 60s, I grew up with Bobby Womack and Lenny Williams and Curtis Mayfield. Don't put your thing on me. It's stuff that I listen to this day. The only reason I know anything about this new hip hop crap is my youngest son. But I was just sitting here playing Catch a Beat. I was sitting here just trying to get my mind together because I stepped off a curb wrong Wednesday when I went across town to do that show. And I've been miserable, but it's no way I could not say anything. Y'all can see I'm a queen from Queens. I was 14 years old, and I remember when the two turntables came out, but then back then, Queens did not get no respect. We didn't get the Bronx, Brooklyn. You couldn't even say you was from Queens. They used to call us the tunnel people back then. Well, make a long story short, it wasn't until Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Tribe Called Quest and everything. That's when Queens got respect. Now I have another angle to this. I was born in East Elmhurst, Queens, Corona, Queens. That's Black Hollywood. Um, Lena Horne. I grew up on the block with Louis Armstrong, 107th and 34. I was 6 years old when he died. Um, Lena Horne, Paul Robeson, the house where Malcolm X's house got blew up at. Then we got to skip up Salt and Pepper, Eric B. I mean, I saw these people like, every day till they got big. I lived down the block from Herbie and his brother. They're producers. Who else? We got Freddie Fox. We got uh, uh, Cool G Rap and DJ Polo. Actually shared a rooming house with DJ Polo before It's a Demo hit. He used to work as the lunch lady and IS 227. And when It's a Demo hit, G Rap was only 15 years old. So I grew up around it. I know how important music is, the tones, the sounds, because sound matter. If you hear violence, you want to commit violence. You hear something loving, you want to be loved. If you just want to get your groove on and just trying to rest, this is what music is for. This was done on purpose with the music. They know that we reached around the world with hip hop. Hip hop touched every soul around this world. So the powers that be decided, they say, no, you know what? We're going to use this and we're going to make more money. And then with the change of laws with our great president, with the crime bill, all of a sudden y'all notice like 91, 92, 93, that's when the music started changing. Then the laws start changing. And it got more violent and the sentences got longer and in the private prison. So all that comes full circle through the music. And on that, I just wanted to say that. Thank y'all for letting me speak. I'm going to lay it down.
Thank you, Miss Lisa. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I wanted to. She's right about that. It all comes full circle. When they threw us in prison, they changed the music. Neither one was our choice. Black people never. I was there in '93. Black people never said, "Huh, it's too much X Clan, too much of that positive stuff." Like, we didn't say that. You know what I mean? We didn't do that. We didn't say we don't want any more party music like Kid and Play, and we didn't say that. We love Kid and Play movies.
I forgot
Class act was
about
my
them
shit.
too. They from my hood too. Me and Play, I don't like him because he almost
Yeah,
hit me with his maximum back in the day.
yeah. So yeah, we never rejected that. They just stopped giving it to us. And we gotta always remember that. Miss G, who's next? She's probably I think she's on break. Who was I think it was it Creflo? I think Creflo's next. Go ahead, Creflo.
All right, thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm glad you mentioned that, Miss G, about the suicide thing, because as far as what hip hop means to me, I know it sounds corny, but it literally saved my life. My childhood was kind of interesting, and really hip hop was how I kind of found my voice as a black boy and a black man. It especially because my taste in hip hop is all over. Like my playlist got everything from Arrested Development to MOP on it. And like that's my like daily playlist I listen to at work. Like I listen to literally everything when it comes to hip hop. And it just, to me, it's always represented the, I guess, final evolution of black music to me. Because growing up, my grandmother was a classically trained opera singer, and she taught me how to sing and play piano and stuff. And I grew up around music. My grandma was a choir director in my church, one of the largest black churches in Cleveland. And so I grew up around gospel music and actual musicians. And when I finally got a hold of hip hop, it just felt like what I was supposed to be doing. I don't know how else to explain it. And to Miss G's point, about it, we are practicing science and we don't even realize it. That's how I feel about hip hop. Man, there's so many mornings. It's my coffee. You know, sometimes that second cup of coffee don't hit right, and I go through my playlist and I find the right album and I throw that on, and bam, I'm good. I'm good the rest of the day. And it's just, I listen to everything. I listen to rock, jazz,
Yes, I
you know,
agree.
basically all the things that you would sample that go into hip hop, and still, there's nothing like throwing on Gangstar album when I'm having anything going on in my day, anything rough going on. Rip the Guru. That's been, I mean, you know, and I got my dad in my life. My dad been there for me. It ain't like I got any problems. He's never failed me in any way. But Guru was like an uncle to me almost, man. Like there's so much knowledge that still in his lyrics holds up to this day. And there's just so many artists like that. And I couldn't imagine, I could not imagine a world without hip hop. I could not imagine Black Americans without hip hop existing. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, you made a good point about hip hop. See, so a thought dropped into me when we talked about when you said something about hip hop. I've said it before, but I kind of had a little twist on the thought that I've had before. And I'd always say hip hop rap is the conclusion paragraph, of a beautifully written musical essay of the Black American of through our experience here. It's the final. It's the you know when you write an essay or a book, you got your introduction, then you got your body of work that goes through explaining your introduction using 3 to 5 points of references, hopefully. And then your final paragraph in the essay format is the conclusion that encapsulate everything that went on before it. And that's what hip hop is to me. It's the conclusion paragraph. Because when we look at our time in recorded music, that we was doing this shit. Um, um, and so we've been doing this, and so for a long time. And so, but it's before it wasn't recorded because we're documented, you know, charting music out and traveling the world, doing our music going back to the 1700s. That's how we go with that. But let's just go into recorded music when we started having sort of mass access to to music recordings was in the 1920s. Yes, there was we did record music before the 1920s, but the 1920s is when recorded music started to really get done on a larger scale. 1920s, before the depression. And so when we go from the 1920s through 1973, in that, what's that, 53 years? In that 53-year period, the evolution of music was so fast and vast. We need to slow down and take a break and go back and review what the fuck we just did. From 1920 to 1953, that's when everything from rock to pop, bebop, jazz, blues, Delta blues, Chicago blues, St. Louis blues, Kansas City blues, New York jazz, LA cool jazz, all the different genres, sections of jazz, country, outlaw country, all that stuff into disco, funk, R&B, rock and roll. All that happened in that 53-year period. Hip hop and disco came out the same fucking year. All right, people. That's a concept I don't think most people understand. When the first so-called hip hop party that let's say the date that they accredited hip hop to. Let's go with the date that they accredited to, because hip hop has been around longer than that. But Cedric Avenue, 1973. Well, the first recorded disco song was Love Thing by Barry White, 1973. The second one was The Sound of Philadelphia in 1973. So we talking about two songs that basically came into existence same time. Funk, 1967, 1966. That's only what, 7 years younger. Um, Doo-wop came around in the 50s, and I mean, we did a lot in a very short time. What hip hop did was, since they stopped teaching us music, it gave us time to go back and sample the previous 53 years of work. And if you notice, the sound of hip hop doesn't take off until the sound of funk and disco was already laid down. By the time you get to 1979, Disco has fully evolved as far as its recorded form. By the time you get to 1983 with Atomic Dog, funk has fully evolved into the sound it's going to be recorded, because not because we couldn't evolve the sounds, but because the record industry intentionally killed off disco in 1979 and intentionally killed off disco funk that same year. It's just that when Atomic Dog came out, they couldn't deny it. That shit was so goddamn funky. The world couldn't deny Atomic Dog, but they didn't want Atomic Dog to happen. Um, and that's the song that actually took Michael Jackson off #1 for a little while, Atomic Dog. But it wasn't until those sounds fully developed you get the so-called, what do they say is the best decade of hip hop? 83 to 93. That's what most people say. Well, when was the last record, like the evolution before funk started to get plastic through those 80s sounds? 1983 was as far as it evolved before it started to get taken away by these phony sounds. So that's no coincidence. Funk, hip hop needed those sounds to be laid down. And what hip hop has done since 1983, well, since before then, well, for the last 40 years, 50 years, what hip hop has done is allowed us a chance to review the beautiful artwork that we created the previous 53 years in recorded music history. And that's why to this day, the samples started getting popular in the 80s. That's why to this day, 40 years after sampling got popular, there's still new songs coming out sampling old songs that haven't been sampled before. That's how much great fucking music we laid down.
Not
Now,
to not to
I,
interrupt you, but
yeah,
I
don't
got
interrupt me,
like,
Eddie. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
sorry.
And so now we're at the point to where now it's time to, my mission. What I'm doing, my projects and my documentaries are, I'm pointing the new generation, the young generation, back to the '70s, because the '70s was the last time Black people made music purely, just pure, without them touching it. That was the last time it was done. And on the rap side a little later, but really the last time we purely made music was the '70s. And so without sampling and all that shit. So I want to point kids and young people, young musicians to that era, not so they can sample that era. That's not what we want to do. That's just done. It's time to evolve and have new sounds. It's time for new genres again. It's time for new ways of making music, new things. But that's only going to come through live instruments. That's only going to come through a group of people. What we've allowed the European to do is make music an ego thing. Oh, that artist. Ooh, Michael Jackson. I love Michael. No, oh, that's uh Barbara Streisand. Oh no, that's NSYNC. Oh, that's Stevie Wonder. Oh, that's, truth is, there are oftentimes, to make a hit, 30 people involved on one song, maybe 15 to 20 on the music, on the instrumentation side of the game, and another 10 on the business and marketing side of the game. It takes 15, 20, 30 hands to make a song, to make a song, to make a song right. Oftentimes, when you have all of those producers, all those live instrumentation, all of those opinions, yes, the arranger and composer may have written out the parts for those horns, but you don't know how it's going to sound until that particular horn player gets on and plays his interpretation or her interpretation of what you wrote. And the through the mass consciousness, through everybody coming together with their own creative sounds, and then once those sounds are put together, now your producer and your composers come together and decide how those pieces are going to fit on the song. What other pieces of the music is needed? What needs to be taken out? Do we add a bell here? Do we add a chime there? Do we add some Congo parts here? Do we layer it with the string arrangement here? That is what needs to come back. That communal aspect of a song. The reason why Michael Jackson's Thriller and Off the Wall hit the way it hit and still hits the way it hits to this day is because you had the greatest music fucking minds of all time in the studio together. You got Joe Sample playing the keys, one of the greatest recorded musicians ever. You don't understand how great Joe Sample was. You had George Duke on keys, Greg Fillinganes, Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson. on bass. You had Wah Watson on guitar. You had Tom Tom uh, arranging the horn parts. You had uh, you had people like Paul Reiser arranging the string arrangements, and you get all of these geniuses together. Then you combine them with the greatest musicians God has ever created to play those interpretations of what was written. And songs written by James Ingram, background singers. You got Janet singing background on some of her brother's music. You got James Ingram singing background. You got all of these great, all these great human beings and great artists giving their opinion on the song. And through that, that's how we create, going back to Count Basie and Duke Ellington. Yeah, you had Strayhorn, Billy Strayhorn compositions to to Duke Ellington's music, but you had all of those great genius musicians putting that grease, their personal trauma, their joys and pains into every note that they played. That's how we're going to get back to evolving new music. When we get, and we can do it now when we come to the kids. Today's world, you don't have to be in the same studio. You got virtual remote studios. I got an instrument. We can get on Zoom and we can come together. We do it all the time in music. Now, the technology, we need to get our kids back on real instruments, and we need to get them back around other kids, around other people, and have community again with our music. And through that community of great musicians, great singers, I promise you, we're going to go back to evolving music just as fast, if not faster, than we did in that 53-year period from 1920 to 1973. I know that was long-winded, but yeah, it's my goddamn room. Shit, that's why the people back listening on YouTube listen for me. So that's what we in here for. I'm gonna let you finish what you got to say, my brother, and then we're gonna get it on to the next people. I guess he finished
I
what he
think
had to say. Go
yeah, I
ahead, Miss
think he
G.
dropped it. Yeah, no, you actually hit so many points, but it also further explains, it kind of points out the reason um, why they were trying to erase the history, like music history. There was an article that came out a little while ago that was talking about should music should there be a ban on music after a certain period of time, because old school music is outselling new school music. So they were trying to figure out a way to manipulate the system to kind of like drown out the old school music, which is pretty much just erase our presence in our own culture and our creations. So that when you see all of these new white artists and Hispanic artists running around, singing and performing our stuff like Bruno Mars effect, we won't question it. When you listen to the sound, the funk sound that's coming out of Bruno Mars right now, that's something that we've been doing. That's our stuff. But if they were to go and actually pursue this whole idea of taking away, like just blocking all music after a certain point, that would definitely erase our staple, and it also take away the energy, and it will stop the evolution. You're absolutely right. We are evolving. Like, we have constantly evolved with music. Matter of fact, I always go back to what was happening in early 2000s. This is why R. Kelly had to get locked. He had to get locked up forever. And no offense to whatever the other stuff that he have done, I ain't passing none of that. However, I do want to point out the fact that he was creating whole new genres as one person, or evolving the genres that currently existed. He brought stepping back to a point where now it's stepping grooves and stepping groups across the whole entire country. White people thought they phased us out with the country. The steppers group really started with our country music, and it's the way we all like dance together in sync, and they had a lot of hand dancing with it also. But when R. Kelly came back and he pulled in, like, with that "Step in the Name of Love" groove thing, it changed the game, and now our elders and our young folk dancing all over the country doing line dances. And that's what really popped off Afro beats, to be honest. A freaking line dance song. So Just saying, they really shut him down because a lot of that he was putting out. He had a lot of different things, even down to the storytelling, to the whole like
The in the closet series where he was the operatic, he was on operatic storytelling, and he brought
yeah,
in
that part,
one of the
yeah.
guy and when one of the cold moves R. Kelly made with that was bring in one of the music guys, Ronald Isley. Ronald Isley was integral to that. He's somebody else who don't get his flowers enough. This man, he had another fucking number one last year. Goddamn, 1959 till now, he's had hits. My mama was born in 1959, and he's been having hits that whole time. Recently is 2022, and R. Kelly was, and that's what one thing that he was doing. That's what a lot of those charges. Because at the end of the day, most of them, what's up, Isaiah? But at the end of the day, most of those music dudes, most of them are freaks. You know, you want to be around some fucking freak, be around some damn musicians. That's part of the reason why I never took Isaiah. I mean, took goddamn music that serious. I'm doing my music show now, but I never wanted to be a full time musician because this music is full of goddamn weirdos. And so I never wanted to be a full time drummer. I never wanted to be all the way in music. I've always wanted to create my own relationship with music where I can dibble in when it's time and get right the hell on back out. That's my relationship with music because when you start dealing with the personalities involved, you're dealing with a lot of goddamn weirdos. So I don't have time to get into everybody's life. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. Um, and but when it comes down to it, with our music, we have to understand that like when I heard about what you said that before, them trying to take away the history of it. That's why I got so many songs. I got over 50,000 songs on my hard drive. It ain't taking away my goddamn music. And if you want to always just know that these people, if they did that, um, yeah, it would have to be done slowly. But I do see them trying to do something like that. To because when you deal with the music of the 70s, the vibration of that time, especially 1976, you ask me, 1976 was the greatest year in music history. That's just the greatest year ever of music. 1976, Songs in the Key of Life, the clones of Dr. Funkenstein, dropped that year. That's when, oh my God, even on the jazz, Steely Dan on the jazz side of the game, Herbie was at his was at his prime. I mean, everywhere you looked, Dizzy Gillespie was still dropping good stuff. Him and Oscar Peterson dropped a great album that year. Just those two, Dizzy and Oscar. I love that album. Um, Count Basie was still alive doing music. It was just a time, but everything, the common denominator is we as black people working together. It's something about us playing together. We have to come together. All this, I'm gonna go make a beat in the corner that started in the 80s. Fuck that whole ass way of making music. And I'm dead serious. That shit's donezo. You think you're just gonna lock yourself in like what Kanye did? Lock yourself in a cubby hole and make music? There was a time for that. For you niggas who make music that way, let me say this before I kick it to the next speaker. AI is gonna take your ass out. 'Cause AI can pump out programmed, quantized, previously thought up ideas better than you. And AI is only gonna get better. So for niggas who think they're just gonna sit in the closet and take a sample from here and a sample from there and put it in to a beat, AI is gonna kick your ass. You're gonna be thinking you're doing something, putting together 5, 6 beats a week. AI gonna be putting 5 or 6 beats together every hour on your punk ass. Which one's gonna put out a hit faster? So you better go back to the organic thing. And before I get to the next speaker, go back to the organic thing. What's the organic? It's like cooking. Those of you who cook, you could either use those different seasoning, those you can use canned ingredients. You can use that, and then you can use the Cormick and Smith's dried out thyme and parsley, or you can go to the store and cut that shit up yourself. Cut your own goddamn tomatoes up instead of getting some diced tomatoes out of a can. When you cook like that using fresh ingredients like a fine restaurant, you see it's a totally different experience with your food. You see same thing with your car. When you take time to detail your car and you get in it and you give it that human touch, open the doors and clean the insides of it. It does more than that damn machine you run through that's stripping your paint at the gas station. Music is no different. When you take time to make the ingredients right, you're gonna create a timeless asset. But when you throw together some mumbo jumbo, you're gonna end up like my man Howard Hewitt. And it's not Howard Hewitt's fault. It's just that his music was produced to the standards of the 80s with all those weird ass fucking corny 80s sounds. And as great of a voice as Howard Hewitt was, as great as he made good music, but all of the music had those 80s weird jingles. So guess what? His music never left the 80s. It still sounds 80s. He made good music. But go back and listen to I'm For Real. It's a good song, but with those 80s drums and all that shit, it just sounds 80s and you're not gonna keep listening to it. But listen to Anita Baker. She was dropping hits around the same time. Both of them were charting around the same. Anita Baker, Howard Hewitt. But Anita Baker had that classic live instrumentation. She didn't fall for the tailpipe. She didn't fall for the let's try to make the newest sound. She said, no, we're gonna make music the right way with musicians coming together as a community to deliver a sound as one. And 35 years later, coming up on 40 years later, Anita Baker's sound from the same years still survives and it still lives. You gotta understand that key point. Um, I'm gonna get to um keep your
The
comments to
B,
2 minutes.
BB,
Oh
and
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead. Then keep it. Tell everybody. Remind everybody keep the comments to 2 minutes after Miss G. She can talk as long as she want. Rest of you niggas. Yeah, go ahead.
nope, yep, that was it. And we're gonna leave it just with that. But I posted the article where they was talking about doing that to the music. I really believe that that's the reason why they're doing a huge push to digital music and phasing out CDs and storages. They prefer that you just join in on a streaming site and then you just listen to the music instead of downloading it. How many people own like streaming sites but don't download the music from those sites, you know? So they bank on you not downloading the music so that at any given time when they want to pull something, it's not accessible. And you can see that when a lot of the streaming apps, you don't always have the all of the songs that you want to have access to, or the version of it rather. So that's something we definitely got to look into, and I'm glad we're getting back to the instruments. But let's go back to the hands. We got VB, and then Honorable, and then our sister Just Eve. What's up, Just Eve?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead. VB KW. Can't handle music playing, brother. I ain't trying to get no copyright strike. That nigga over there. That nigga jacking off the cartoons. Fuck you doing, nigga? Fuck out of here. Got somebody over here.
exactly.
This
Like
nigga.
I just removed
This nigga.
them. I removed them.
Yeah, yeah. Got him up out of here. They show you how corny these motherfuckers are. You been around that whole
I was
time.
okay. Are so addicted to us. They can't help themselves. They just gotta come in and think that they can mess up our energy, but it's all good. See, I was gonna use the fucking button, but it was just space. Now I'm gonna absolutely be using the fucking button. If they don't follow anybody that we know, you got a block page, you're getting thrown out. I don't even. As soon as you raise your hand, you're getting thrown out.
Uh,
So I'm gonna leave it
yeah,
at
you
that.
know,
Go to the
and that dude's mama's had gave his mama gave him rotten titty milk. That was his problem. His white mama had rotten titty bags, and he drank that shit, and he been fucked up ever since. Um, but that's the shit that we gotta deal with as Black Americans. White boys who have mamas with rotten titty milk, doing shit like that to us. The
That's
honorable.
that whack ass.
Go ahead, Miss G. Then kick it.
No, it's dancing around with that wax song. Then he played something that didn't even have a beat to it. Remember, you was talking 3/4. I don't know what beat he was on. That's that
They clapping
non
on one. Yeah, just ghetto. They're just
non
white
rhythm.
people. They so ghetto. You know, remember I like the word ghetto because ghetto comes from the 1600s in Italy and Germany. That's a white people word. That's a ghetto motherfucker right there. That motherfucker goes from the real ghettos. Like Compton ain't got shit on goddamn Italy and Greece and them goddamn ghettos. That was a ghetto motherfucker right there. And yeah, and he's the kind of person that saw he walked in on his mama giving his uncle head. And we got to understand that's the trauma of these ghetto ass white folks. They be walking in on their mamas giving their uncle's head. And so he walked out. He saw his mama walking out with Uncle Jizz dripping down her chin. That's how they get down on that side of the ghetto. Ghetto. But I don't want to take up too much time. 'Cause I do want to get. I want to honorable speak real quick because I do got to get to Jessie. I know she doesn't have much time, but I do want to get to you honorable because you have been waiting for a long
I
time.
got you, man. I appreciate y'all letting me come up on the stage, man. I like the topic. Hip hop changed my life, man. And that's a track by Lupe Fiasco. And I'm a retired pro fighter, and I go on my long journeys and run, and I listen to music. I listen to all type of music. My grandma was a Black Panther, so her favorite artist was Marvin Gaye, and what's the one girl name? Um, Tina Turner. Tina Turner's a favorite artist, so she always have that song. What's love got to do with it? Marvin Gaye, she loved that What's Going On song, so that really like set with me. So I'm kind of like spoiled when it comes down to music, man. Like my mom, I was born in '83, so my mom she listened to Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston, and Jodeci. So like I had best of both worlds. My dad listened to X Clan, KRS One, Rakim, people like that. So when I became a teenager, Tupac was out of the time, but I had the old Tupac like Tupacalypse Now album like that's just and I ran cross country, so music really just man my whole life man just been part of me man like it's just it motivates me when I get up in the morning. It motivates me. So I just appreciate y'all having me on stage, man. Just I love the topic. I wanted to be a DJ, right? When I used to sell drugs back in the days, and I used to come to the trap. I used to tell my homeboy, "Hey man, I want to be a DJ. like I want to be a real DJ." He said, "You know what a DJ is?" I said, "Yeah, a disc jockey." And they just play music and they just play whole bunch. I love all music, so I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you, man.
Much love, much appreciated. Uh, yeah, and again, just be real quick. I have hip hop in the title because it just hits the algorithm. But hip hop is music. Music is music. Is music is music is music is music. We cannot separate hip hop from the tree of music, tree of black music. And if it whatever music hits you the hardest is your version of hip hop. You know what I mean? If it's country western, if it's I know Isaiah don't fuck with R&B, but he was having a good time to some R&B the other night at the show. You know what I mean? That's whatever floats your boat. Music does that to you. It does that thing to you. But Jesse, go ahead.
Peace, peace. I don't know. Can y'all hear me? I'm at the airport. Headphones.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you at the airport.
Look, I had so we had such a good time. I saw that you were having the space, and I was like, damn it, I'm gonna be in the air when he goes live. But then we landed, and I saw that you were still here, and I just really wanted to give you your flowers because of the events that you held. It shows how much music means to you, and you could have, let it die, but you haven't done that. You haven't done that with the music tree, with the art that you've been putting out there, with the work that you've been doing on our story. And I really appreciate that. So to know that it means that much to you, or as much as it means, music means different things to different people, right? But it's a coming together of sorts. And I think that in our delineation, we've used music as a cultural coming together for us. And you definitely have a big hand in that. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve, and thank you. he flew way from the East Coast to come to my show this past Wednesday night, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you had a good time because that's what the night is about. My music night is it's a love letter to music, and we have live drums, bass, keys, percussions, three horns in our horn section, three background singers, and we bring some music. It's live, man. We ain't fucking around because music feeds the soul. That's what music does. Music means to me, man, just it means water. When I introduced the show the other night, you know, and what I always do when I introduce music, music is it's life. Music is life. It's life. What is life? Four elements: earth, air, water, and fire. And that's why live instrumentation means so much. The earth, the drums and the bass, that's earth. Drums and bass. That's where everything starts. So everything is grounded. Then the water is where the seed is what helps the seeds grow. And the water, that's your keyboard. That's your keys. That's uh that's the water of the music. That's what we all drink from. Then you have the air element of music. And the air element is your horns, your strings. They provide the air. That's why you notice when you listen to a good Barry White arrangement, um, it just feels like the breeze. It feels like the breeze because it is. It's air. Those grand Isaac Hayes string arrangements, Duke Ellington. When you listen to a lot of that stuff, and the Leon Ware when he was working with Marvin Gaye, and those strings, Luther Vandross with Paul Reiser on the arrangements, and then you have the fire. That's your guitar. That's that aggression. That's the guitar. The lead guitar represents the electric guitar. It brings a fire. It burn. That's why if you hear a good guitar solo, what do people say? He burned it down. We speak this way already. Don't even know what we're saying. And those of you who know me, you know I'm a card reader. You know the earth, the hearts, in the card deck. When you play with your basic poker cards, regular old playing cards, blackjack cards. The hearts represent the fire element and youth. The clubs represent the air element and earth. And I mean, it represent the air element and mental. The diamonds represent earth, and the spades um, represent the wind. And everything you see these fours, that's what life is. That's what life is, and that's what instrumentation is. That's what it does. And we have actual human beings playing these elements of life. We be talking about some elements of hip hop. We will never talk about what are the elements of music, because hip hop is based in music. Made no mistake about it. You can talk all day about a DJ, about a way niggas dressing and the Bronx and all that shit. At the end of the day, the comment what makes the whole thing come together is the music, and the music is scientific. Like what somebody said earlier, music is science. Um, those people like another thing they do is they shortchange like where the music comes from. Maybe because hip hop made sampling so accessible, people just think that back in the day people were just plugging and playing stuff. No, these arrangers, these people went to school for it. Like this, people be thinking, oh, those guys were just on drugs, and they were on drugs one day and got real high and created a song. No, motherfucker, if it was that easy, your ass would have a Grammy too. Nigga, you on drugs all goddamn day. And nigga, you can barely afford a graham cracker and talking about some it's the drugs again. No, no, no. This is science. Like a lot of your greatest arrangers didn't do drugs. Like my father-in-law, I was talking to him. He those string arrangements, do you know that he had to go to a conservatory? Yeah, like a lot of people go to college. This is back, especially back in the 50s and the 60s after civil rights. A lot of the schooling was cheaper, but it was still around in the 50s and the 40s. These people went to conservatories, man. Juilliard ain't the only conservatories. Conservatories all around this country, and the conservatories teach you the science of music. What does a F minor G chord do to the emotions of the human brain, being? So when he used to write his string, when he wrote his string arrangements, when I was talking to him about when he wrote Zoom, he wanted when he wrote the string arrangements to the song Zoom, he was intentionally saying wanting to heal. A lot of his string arrangements, he said he wrote his string arrangements to heal. When he got sick a couple years ago, when my father-in-law got sick a couple years ago and uh, had his ailment and things weren't looking good to him, we played his. All we did was play his music. We played his Michael Jackson, and we allowed his own string arrangements and his own horn arrangements that he wrote to help him hit to help heal him. And I saw that man come back to full strength through music, through music he wrote, he composed. But in order to compose these sounds that was in his mind, he had to go to a conservatory and study for years on theory and really learn how to compose this thing because music there's a scientific method to putting a song together, a method that we created that's far more than a fucking drug binge. So one thing we can do if we love music is stop shortchanging the composers and the people who create these sounds because a lot of these people are geniuses. They're not drug addicts. Some of them may be drug addicts, but a lot of them it's like any other job. People who work it ain't no more drug addicts in the music studio than it is in the executive office. How about that? How about that? It ain't no more drug addicts in the music studio than it is at the heads of Target and HBO and the people who run Viacom and the people who run your local grocery store, their board of directors, the board of directors at DirecTV and allegedly, and I'm saying out there for safety, I'm just talking, this is entertainment. But y'all know what I'm talking about. The people who run everything, your local Department of Water and Power. It's no more drug use in the people who run your local municipalities than there is in the music studio. These people are geniuses, they're scientists, and they're greats, and we must show love and respect to that greatness. Miss G, I'm gonna kick it to you, Miss G, and then from there, you kick it to whoever's next.
All right. No, you're absolutely right. And you kind of made me think if you notice that it wasn't a lot of these other cultures. Hold on, I'm sorry. A lot of these other cultures, they didn't just jump into like certain STEM fields. I'm glad you pull those things together. You notice a lot of these other cultures were pushed, especially the Asians. They were pushed into instrumental learning how to play instrument fields. And then they were ushered into STEM fields. I didn't even think to put those two together. And then when you were talking, I'm like, wait a minute. If you take it back to like the 80s and the 90s, it was a lot of Asians, a lot of those other groups who would study music. They studied heavily instruments, and that's who you saw playing all of the instruments and everything. Even if you go to the Disney Channel days, when they were doing all of the like musical shows, it was a lot of influence telling is like a lot of things that kind of ushered like young white youth and like Asians and Indian, all of these different nationalities to or races of people to um into like the music fields. And it's not a mistake. It's this is by design that they are automatically they
The
can
same,
easily
the
understand
same reason
music.
why Japan
Yeah,
was basically commissioned with creating all the new instruments instead of creating new live human instruments. It was basically Japan was basically where we sent the technology to, and they basically got commissioned to create all the new, basically mimic the instruments that we created, mimic those instruments into electronic form.
that's crazy. Like these two combinations. Wow. I mean, I
Let me
wasn't
tell you
even
how
thinking.
deep it is. Let me tell you how deep it is when it comes back. You just hit on the vein. Let me tell you how deep it is. And I tell this story a lot. My father-in-law in the '80s, he said in the '90s, Lionel came to him and was just basically like, "Look, you can get a teaching gig in Japan, and them teaching gig in Japan for producers, black music producers of the '70s and '80s, they can go to Japan and write their own check to teach at those universities a semester at a time." And so what happened was it worked in concert. America turned its back on those composers. You know, a lot of those composers are still alive, or they may have died in the last 10 years. Leon Ware just died in 2017. Norman Whitfield died in 2008, I think. Mr. Carmichael, my father-in-law, he's still alive. Paul Reiser is still alive. I think Gene Page died in the 2000s. These people who were writing these grand string and horn arrangements were still alive. But basically, after 1979, their services were basically no longer required because that's when they started heavily pushing our instrumentation to the electronic sound. If you want to listen to one person as an example, just go to Luther Vandross. Listen to Luther in 79, 80, 81. Then listen to him by the time you get to 85, 88. Still making great music in the late 80s, but where he had Paul Reiser string arrangements in the early '80s, with that lush sound that he had, with songs like "Promise Me," Nat Adderley compositions, Marcus Miller on bass, and the overall producing. When you go back to that era of Luther Vandross with "Make Me a Believer," and then as you get later on with "Stop to Love," it gets far more electronic. Still sounds dope, but a lot of the lushness is gone. And so that's what happened. Uh, but so when you're dealing with these great arrangers and composers, by the time you get to the early '90s, they no longer have jobs because now you got the whole Diddy sound of just a 2 bar loop, like you do in rap. Because now we just gonna loop 2 bars from some shit you niggas did for 30 years ago, and now we got a song. And so what happened was a lot of those composers just went over to Europe and got jobs. They went to Japan. They went to Korea. They went around. That's how J-pop took off. J-pop is a genre that I have to add to my black music tree that I forgot to put on there originally. In the '70s, where they're basically in the '80s, that was basically sounding like '70s black music. But that's when they were getting those black composers of the '70s who were no longer finding work in America to go over there and teach at their universities. And so they were teaching Asians by the hundreds at a time, by the thousands, the secrets to composing our music. And then sometimes you get into these places, these hella militant pro-black places, where it'd be like, we need to stop doing this, and we need to stop. You ain't gonna never tell somebody that they can't eat. They were, you got these people who had jobs. People got to eat, and their services are no longer required. My father-in-law, luckily for him, he was in a position to where he didn't really go without a job. He just chose to retire from music, and but he also chose not to go to Japan and teach them motherfucker shit. But there's other artists who didn't choose to retire, so they had to go to Japan and Korea and Russia and Belarus and Germany and France, Italy, and all these other places around the world. They always talk about these black people being inspired by this group and that group. They don't tell you about all the black composers and singers and artists that leave America and live like kings, imparting our sound on the rest of the world. So that's the environment that was created, and then they took it. They took it, and they took the information, and now you have J-pop and K-pop. K-pop is the sound of the world. You got Asians out there uh, dancing like James Brown. Well, that's nothing new. The rest of the world is always taking 10 to 30 years to catch up to what we do. Usually about 30. The rest of the world is usually about 30 years behind our sound and what we're doing. So yeah, good job. But that's why it's important that we put our kids back on live instruments, and that's why we get them back into singing. No auto tune, please. No vocal quarter, please. You have to actually hit that A minor flat, please. That's what we got to get back to, because That's how you set the bar high. Can you hit that note? That's why if you perform at my show on a Wednesday night, nigga, and you ain't know you got a microphone and a band. Go to work. And if you can't cut the mustard, get the fuck off my stage. Because I was being nice on that first show. Shows moving forward. If somebody come through and they don't sing that good, I'm clowning the fuck out of them. What the hell did you just do to my goddamn stage? Sounding like uh, peaches and herbals over here. And niggas sound like grapes and herbs. Get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna be clowning niggas that don't if you can't sing on my show. But that's what it's about. That's always been the standard. We got to get back to the church standard. The church has always been the standard in our music, whether you sing country music, whether you like electronica, whatever you like, it all comes back to the church standard because the greats that invented and innovated all these sounds are usually started in church. And the church standard is either you cut the mustard or you don't. And if you don't, get the fuck out the way. When rehearsals on Monday, hear the songs, you come to rehearsal already knowing the song. The only thing you need to be asking at rehearsal is resolving some chords and some changes on the transitions. But outside of that, you better know the fucking song. If you don't, get out of here. With our show, we had a dope band on Wednesday. But it was, one of the musicians, he knew all the music, but the feeling wasn't right. Nothing personal, but the feeling wasn't right. Next. That's how we get down. And that's the standard in Black America with our music. Next. Either you got it or you don't. We don't play with our fucking music. All this lowering the bar when they talk about Sexy Red. Man, but I mean niggas I heard say, man, but Sexy Red, she been putting in work for like 5, 6 years. Uh so So, most musicians, singers I know been putting in work since they was 3. That don't mean shit. Just because you've been putting in work, man, look, you could have been putting in work since Marvin Gaye was alive. Nigga, if you don't sound right on this song, get the fuck off my stage. That's always been our standard as Black people. We've lowered our standards so much, and we see it in the music to where now when people talk about a particular artist, all you want to talk about is how many Grammys they won and how many albums they sold and how much money they make. Who gives a if you make good music, who gives a fuck how much money you made? That's a dick riding ass statement anyway. Man, he was at least Jay-Z made that money. Well, what did he say that contributed to the freedom of our people? What did he say that liberated our minds from this oppressive system that we in? Did his lyrics enhance, or did his lyrics enhance capitalism or challenge capitalism? Stevie Wonder challenged it. Johnny Guitar Watson, that song "Ain't That a Bitch," challenged it. Nigga, your song was "Buy More Hoes and Clothes." You dig what I'm saying? When did we lower the bar so much to where all somebody has to do is make us feel good? We got to get back to standards in our music, and that's my mission. That's the point of view that I speak from when it comes to music standards, and that's where we at with it. And Miss Jim, I'll kick it back to you, then off to whoever's next.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned Stevie. I was talking to his son like 2 months ago. We talked for like 2 hours about some stuff. And it's just the power, just his legacy that he has built over the years has just been powerful. But one thing you mentioned was the how he went against what was it, communism you said, but he went
Cap-
against
Capitalism,
capitalism.
all that shit,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
racism,
Let me
all
tell
of yep.
yeah, no, let me tell you. Like as soon as you said it, the first song that came to my mind, and we're getting ready to go into that season was "Someday at Christmas." And it's such a beautiful song, but it makes me it's one Christmas song that just takes me emotionally. And it's like he is like someday, and he was talking about us claiming that victory
Someday at
someday.
Christmas, someday at Christmas, men won't be
Yes,
boys playing with bombs like kids play with toys. Nigga, come on
yes.
now. That's some lyrics. What
It is
about
It's beautiful. The organized lyrics, all the way down to just like everything. The flow of the
What
song,
about the
the
song?
arrangements.
What about
It's everything about it is amazing. But yes, that
what
song
about the
alone.
song "You Haven't Done Nothing"? We are amazed but not amused by all the things you said that you'll do. Though often qualified, but do not decide the I forgot that word, the decision that are made by you. Basically saying we are sick and tired of hearing this song telling us how you're going to change right from wrong. If you really want to hear our views, you haven't done nothing. And then the nigga got the Jackson 5 to sing the background. Doo doo up. Nigga, come on, bro. And Michael Jackson is Stevie Wonder's cousin. Do you niggas know that? The Jacksons and Stevie Wonders are cousins. And yeah, that's what Stevie Wonder did when he was at the top, at the zenith of his career, when he could do no wrong musically. Before that song, Stevie Wonder was singing My Sharia More. He was singing, you know, Blowing in the Wind. You know, he was singing Fingertips. He was singing the 60s, love, let's all come together music. Stevie Wonder was blind. He was the crown jewel of America's eye. Michael Jackson hadn't quite gotten there yet, taken off yet. He was on the way. And then Stevie Wonder, when he was at the height of being the love of America's eye, he turned around and told President Nixon, "We are we aren't amazed, but are amused by all the things you said that you will do." Bruh, come on, like, yeah. If and Stevie, if you go back to a post that I put up earlier on my Twitter, I broke down a little bit about Stevie Wonder, how Stevie Wonder was so great. Nobody brings up how much money he makes. You notice that? When they talk about Jay-Z and everybody else, oh, we got that much money. Yeah, you dick riders. I can't stand niggas that talk like that either. Why are you in another man's pockets? Good, bad, or indifferent, first of all. But second of all, Stevie Wonder's music is so great. You don't even have time to think about his money. Think about it. His first hit, he came out the gate with his first hit as a 12-year-old, Fingertips, 1962. Fingertips dropped in 1962. He arranged and produced and performed. The money in music is in the production side. The performance, the artists don't get as much. Let's say the money is in the production on that side of the game. That's where the long term money is. And Stevie Wonder arranged, produced, and performed on his songs. And not only for himself, he arranged and produced for Minnie Riperton. He wrote the song "It's a Shame" by the Spinners. That was the Spinners' first hit, the one on Motown. He wrote one of Aretha Franklin's biggest hits, "Until You Come Back to Me." I mean, he wrote one of Michael Jackson's big hits, "I Can't Help It." I mean, so if you're talking about a man whose number one hit was 6 decades ago, and he's ranged, produced and he's been getting hits for 60 years, imagine how deep his pockets are. But I thought about that. Nobody cares about how deep Stevie's pockets are, is because the substance within his music, there's no dollar amount that can equate to the value that that man has added to our lives with his music. You can't put a dollar on Stevie Wonder. It doesn't matter how many Grammys he has. However many Grammys he has, it ain't enough. You know, you cannot put a stat and a dollar amount on the impact of Stevie Wonder and what he's done for us musically. And we got to show love and respect for that.
And culturally,
Um,
we can't
but
talk about the
go ahead.
culture. Yep, I was saying, and culturally, just in addition to what you were saying, like Stevie Wonder, and you kind of pointed out something huge. You kind of identified the line, because right after like the Stevie Wonder age, that's when the whole pocket watching started. You want to know why? Because those wonderful artists were fueling. They were the financial providers for our revolutionary stances. Every single they was paying to get our people out of those the situations they were in. Most of those artists, they would say, you paying with us with cash, and they was paying to get civil rights activists back and forth, and paying them for food and housing expenses, when our people was traveling the country trying to fight for just the right to vote and exist. So it was a lot of huge things. That's why people like have like a Stevie Wonder, even Aretha Franklin, like those are they underrated in so many ways, because they weren't just musicians; they were the fuel to they were the financial fuel.
Martin Luther King
I start.
Holiday.
There you go.
Martin Luther King Holiday. Stevie Wonder came out on the song on the Hotter Than July album. On Hotter Than July, not only did he have the biggest reggae hit, he had the biggest on one of the biggest R&B hits of the year, Rocket Love. Uh, then he had one of the biggest reggae hits. He had the biggest reggae hit of the year, Master Blaster Jammin'. And then he turned around and said, "Happy birthday, Martin Luther King." Then and it was now known synonymous with the black version of the birthday song. And through that song and through his fight, he got a national holiday honoring Martin Luther King. And then turned around and got Mandela out of apartheid. And then turned around after Trayvon Martin died, said, "I'm not gonna play Florida no more." Still at it, still doing it. And we want to separate hip hop from black culture. I think that's a disrespect to Stevie Wonder when black people just be like, "Oh, hip hop, oh, hip hop." No, nigga, it's music. It's the kind of music you like, but it ain't no different. It's black music. It's our culture. It's our family, and we must speak of our music as a family, because that's what it is. As long as we keep sectioning off things and the hip hop generation thinking that they doing something different and something special, and the other generation that don't listen to hip hop looking at it as an inferior sound or whatever, whatever. We all got our different preferences and our different sounds, but it's all of our culture, it's all of our music, and it means the world to us. It means our freedom, in my opinion. Um, who is
Yep.
next? Go ahead. You
That.
said you got to pick it. Go ahead, then
Yep.
kick it.
Eddings. Yep. Miss Eddings. No, you killed it. I'm just glad you identified that, because now we see why they had to weaponize our artists. I told you, as soon as they recognize any area, anything that we do good, they recognize it and they weaponize it, and then they use it against you. And that's what we've been seeing ever since. But thank you for that, Devon. And go ahead, Miss Eddings. It's on you. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, how y'all doing? Dwan B, Miss G. Dwan, I got my ticket, so I'm gonna be ready for you. Oh man, what does hip hop and music mean to you? To me, I grew up in a gospel household with Mahalia Jackson playing on Sunday morning. That was our alarm clock to get up in the upper room. Traveling. We lived in California, but we had to travel to to Alabama and stuff for the summer. So we had 8 tracks. That's how old I am, y'all. And that was James Cleveland playing. Um, from going to the family reunions to where my dad and his siblings would get up and they would sing and talk about the journeys of how they had to travel and move and how their grandfather got here, and it was all orchestrated, kind of theater-esque, like which is crazy. And I'm in and I'm into theater now, and so I I in the day I fell in love with hip hop. Now, mind you, this is like the late, really late 80s, early 90s, because we couldn't play that hippity hoppity stuff in the house. We could the only thing we could play was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, because that it was parents just don't understand things. But I did I when I fell in love with hip hop, and I came and told my mama that I was hip hop, and she was like, "You gonna be hippity hoppity?" He's like, "Nobody's gonna give you a job." And I said, "Mom, you'll see." And right now, as a teacher, everything that I do is hip hop influence. Um, I do appreciate where I come from. I appreciate the music that has been so infused in me. Me and my sisters and my brother would sing before my father before he would preach. So I consider, and this is the only time I'm gonna toot my horn. I'm a superb harmonizer. Okay, I can harmonize with the best and practiced and all that good stuff. But what I did learn as well is how vibrational our music is, and how certain songs that I would hear my dad or even me my siblings sing, how that music is meant to touch you. It's meant to touch who you are. It's meant when you're sitting there, you're listening to it, and you're listening to the words, and you're thinking and contemplating, and you're making some of these decisions. And some there are certain things that you want to say and you can't say, but then you go to the music, and you let it play. And you hear it, and sometimes you get the answer, and then other times, you just thinking. Our music is so deep, so deep. It goes beyond just the words or the melody. It's the feeling that you get when you do listen to our music. So I love who I am. I love the fact that, and I used to be kind of weirded out, like, why are they standing up here at the family reunion singing Listen to the Rain? Listen, like, so nobody, my great grandfather didn't have, he was traveling and they had rain, like they had music, and these were like gospel or whatever songs that they use, and they would throw the Lord in there some way. But I'm glad it made me the person that I am, and it made me appreciate, everything so far. And right now in my classroom, I have hip hop figures, I have foundationals all over the room, I have their quotes. Even when I'm breaking down certain English concepts, I use the hip hop so that my students can understand, and we'll break it down. I mean, break it down into verbs and nouns to concepts to what is he saying? What is Jay-Z saying when he says I sell ice in the winter. I sell fire in hell. I am a hustler, baby. I sell water to a well. What do you think he means having the right upon that? Music, and our music is so fantastic. And you gotta have an ear and an eye to break it down. So shout out to you, Dwar B, Miss G, for holding this space. I do appreciate y'all letting me speak, and I'm humble. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm over here. I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, it's what it is. I'm over here kind of doing two things at once. We got our show coming up on next week, in a couple weeks, so it's time to get rehearsal. Get. I had to switch out a bass player, put in a different one because my preference in music, man. I'm a nigga when it comes to that bass, man. I need somebody that's gonna play that bottom.
Hey,
And
Dewan, listen. You know,
yeah, I be
you know what I learned? Dr. Matty Moss Clark threw a shoe at his a choir practice. It was like 100 black folks on the choir stand, and she could hear exactly who didn't hit the note right. And she said, "If you ain't gonna do it right for the Lord, don't do it at all." So
and that
excellence
right there,
is
and that right there is
yes.
that's a standard when it comes to our music. And so yeah, I had to switch out a because when it comes, you can hear it in people, in different people's sound. You can hear it in the sound. Other when it comes to bass, it's just like people from other cultures. They like when they play the bass, they like playing the guitar. They're like, dude, they put all these high notes and shit with these effects, and it sounds good. Don't get me wrong, and it's not easy to do. It's not, they be sounding dope as fuck at what they doing. But if you playing the bass, play the goddamn bass. I got a guitarist over here to play the guitar. I need you to play the bass. And that's something that every time I play with a non-black American bass player, and I'm from LA, I played with a lot throughout my time. I've had Korean bass players with different bands I've played with. I've had Russian bass players. I've had European, white American. Now I have a Latino. I play with all the whole rainbow when it comes to bass players. Every time it seemed like I play with a bass player that's not black. These motherfuckers want to play all these high notes and shit. I think really it's just a cultural thing. It's just culturally, that's where that's their approach musically. And on some songs it can work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. If the song is arranged in a way to where the bass playing these high notes and these, then fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you playing funk, when you playing rhythm and blues, when you playing soul music, if you playing a bass guitar, stay on the goddamn bottom. Don't be going all the way up that fretboard, nigga. That's for the guitar player, not for you. And so yeah, just word out there for the people out there that play music. Miss G, it's on you. Then whoever's next, whoever
Yes.
you
No.
says down.
Yeah, no, when it comes to those players, like I was in a band for 6 years, and it's a different, oh my gosh. I have only played with majority all black art band players, musicians. That's it. I haven't really had
Lucky.
the negative experience, but like I haven't had the other experience with the other side, but I've always played with, we've always did shows with or practice with, and those who was a part of the band, it was always black artists. But when we get together, we kind of create, we make music, but it's almost like, I don't want to say it, but it is like making love, because it's like it's
It is.
it's a build up with it. It's so beautiful. You had a bass come through, then the drummers drop some notes, then we got a guitarist, then the keys, then the harmonies. That's another thing. Like, people don't pay enough attention to the power of the harmonies. Like, you got some people like Layla Hathaway, I would say, people whose voices are
Yes.
just so powerful. It's
Bilal.
Anyway, those harmonies, that's another thing that when we talk about instruments, we always got to make sure we include those. But we can go right back to the hands. We had Killam, Don Lee, and then led with Logic. Oh, lead with Logic. I'm sorry. You right.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello. Okay, cool. Uh thanks for the space. Peace to the room. Y'all are great people with way more music knowledge than me, but what music means to me, music is a therapy. It's a communication. It's a different form of communication, higher, right? Like, you can just be around music and hear it walking down the street, and it changes your mood, right? And it's church, which is, it's interesting that that was kept on being brought up. And it's a communion too. And hip hop is the vastest lyrical expression of that, and that's why I fucking love hip hop, right? And I'm reminded of a RZA quote, peace. It brings peace. Positive energy activates continual elevation. Yes. So I'm just gonna leave it there, and I got some other spaces to go to, but I'm gonna stick around, and thank you.
It's very much appreciated. It's yeah, it jumps around. Everybody has their, the one thing I want, the common theme that I've heard tonight is everybody has their own definition of what music means to them. And I'm gonna drop people down after you speak because we're gonna have more speakers lined up. So I'm dropping people down after they speak. Um, but everyone has their own interpretation of what music means to them, and not one person has been wrong. Everyone's been right. Everyone has had, there are no wrong answers to this. Music means whatever it means to you. That's what it's supposed to mean, and that's the beautiful thing about music. Whatever it is said, it preaches to your soul. That's what the word is. Who's next? Who's next?
Yeah, I think that's
You
me.
got Yep, is lead with, or led with, led with, or lead with Logic. Yeah, there you go.
Leave like, yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good. I can hear you.
Peace, peace. First and foremost, my name is Brother Fahim. I'm the maker, the owner, and the sole controller of the podcast that is Lead with Logic. Y'all catch me on YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and IG. I want to say next, thank you for allowing me to come in y'all space, and grace y'all stage. Man, I'm truly humble anytime anybody allow me to speak. What does hip hop and music mean to me? Wow, that is a super duper vast ocean of an answer. Music is a bookmark to life. Music is a universal language that connects all peoples and transcends all all cultures and races and genders. You know, music is a flying DeLorean because you can hear a song with music and remember exactly who you were with, what you were wearing, how you were feeling, and what you were doing. That's why I love music. And like the brother was saying, everybody's definition of music is different because everybody's musical journey is different. So that's what's so beautiful. As far as hip hop goes, I'm a child of the 80s, a teenager of the 90s. What I come to find out is, check this out, y'all. You know, we all tend to get a little bit possessive about the hip hop that we came of age with, right? So commercially, the apex, what they would like to tell us is the apex of hip hop was around the mid '90s, right? Because everybody, whenever you say who's your top five, everybody's always gonna say Pac or Biggie, right? But Pac or Biggie, if you were a kid like me, you really that was just who was manufactured. We have to remember now, fame is manufactured. So anybody can become famous, and we remember them. That's why when you hear certain songs, when you first hear a song that you might not like, you'd be like, "Man, I'm not listening to that." But after you've heard it 4 billion times, and you find yourself singing it, it's like, "Damn, why do I know this song?" And then you go out to a party or you go out with somebody special and they singing the song, you like, well, I mean, I guess it's cool. I know the song, but um, so yeah, what I'm trying to say is Pac and Big were cool, but as I've come of age, I've started to learn that, man, I identify with different artists that align with more of my values, right? People like Common, people like Jay Electronica, people like Black Thought, and before that, Rakim Allah, people like that who were kicking knowledge itself, but also had a street edge and a street wit that you could, move between spaces, whether it's the boardroom or the boulevard. So hip hop is such a dope art form, man, and if it's filtrated properly, if we teach children like, hey, it's an art form, it's not literal, right? Even when you hear the quote unquote gangster hip hop or the sexy reds or whoever, hey man, that's no different than watching a movie like Casino, or no different than watching a movie like, I don't know, Boys in the Hood. It's a piece of art. It's not meant to be actually engaged or reenacted. So we have to put it in its proper perspective. But yo, I want to just land there and say this is probably one of the dopest rooms because I've never seen anybody ask about hip hop and music because that's such a vast and beautiful topic. Like I said, y'all, please follow me on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, uh, Amazon Music, and all those other platforms. And thank you for allowing me to speak. And may we all meet again in the light of understanding, y'all. Peace and love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Everyone has their own takeaway of what music means, man. And as you see, the different genres mean different things, and I appreciate and I understand. Like I'm born in 1981, and for my
Me
generation,
too. Me too.
yeah, I'm 81, born in South Central LA, and most people born my generation, South or whatever city. Because when I say South Central, I'm not one to segregate us as black people. We
Yes,
all,
sir. Yes,
whether
sir.
you in South Central LA, whether you in if you in Black America, the hood ain't all bad. Most of the people in the hood are trying to just really trying to make it to the next day as best they can. Have a little bit of fun,
That's
get some
right.
head, eat some good food. That's what we
That's
all
right.
trying to do, whether you in Jackson, Mississippi, or Seattle, Washington, or South Central LA. We just got our own. different ways of these white folks that are oppressing us. In a lot of ways, they have their own different way of doing it, and we got our own response, and that's what our music is. And so, when you listen to the West Coast sound, it's a response to what we're dealing with. But it's not just a response. They always talk about our music from the depressed, oppressed point of view, and that is a part of it. That is a part of it. It is a response to our oppression, but it's also uh, a proactive stepping out to fun and how we have fun, how we express ourselves. Kid and play. When you was a teenager, you didn't feel oppressed when you was in high school. You just wanted to fucking party.
That's
That's what,
right.
you know what I mean? We didn't
That's
feel like in high school everything was normal. Like I grew up in the hood. I thought everybody. Nigga, I remember
MC Hammer.
in the
MC Hammer
'80s.
was dope.
In the '80s, I thought everybody grew up in neighborhoods that got shot up. You know what I mean? I thought that was normal. So I didn't feel oppressed. You know, I thought everybody grew up in had to do. It wasn't to that Columbine shooting when I was in high school that I realized most people in elementary schools didn't get shot up. My elementary school got shot up 3 or 4 different times, but I still wasn't depressed. I didn't feel depressed. Everything is relative to a child and normal to a child and to young people and it's the youth that make the sound. And so, a lot of our music is just us having a good fucking time. You know what I mean? Other music is church. The main core of our music is the church and the spirit, using the music to draw spirit. So whether you do pop, rock, whatever it is, you're drawing that spirit out through church. One thing that I'm doing my documentary, and again, go to DwannB.com for Sunday's live stream pay-per-view. Sunday, I got my live stream pay-per-view. And that's for Q&A. The documentary's free, but what we're doing is we're fundraising for my series. I'm breaking down the history of our music. Y'all can't, it's bigger than hip hop, yeah. This is dope as fuck. But in the meantime, even though I'm doing the fundraiser, I'm still recording my documentary, and I'm using my show on Wednesdays. Before my show, I'm interviewing the artists on the show, and so this past show that I did this past Wednesday that you guys see, you can look up on my Twitter. You'll see a picture of me behind the camera before the show, and I'm interviewing the singers and different musicians that performed that night, talking about the spiritual connection and the connection of church and where the music comes from. So this is a very comprehensive, deep documentary. We going all the way. It's not just talking about it from the musical point of view. We're talking about it from a cultural aspect. My minor in college was cultural anthropology, so we come in scientific with points of reference, names, dates, times, locations. Because I'm doing this with love. I'm not one of these bozo ass clown niggas out here talking about something. Just trust me because yeah, nah, hell no. I want you to trust shit that I say. I'm gonna tell you what I say. Then you can go and look it up your goddamn self and get even deeper information. That's the point of view I'm coming from in the documentary. So, Miss G, it's on you then. I think it's on Red Drop. I want to kick it back to you as the lady of the room, the co-host, and say what you got to say, then on to the next.
Yes, and one big thing that we want everybody to do, if you can right now, with those who are in the space, just tweet out hashtag it's bigger than hip hop. Tweet it out. You can take the post that we have
Doc,
on the Jumbotron.
hip,
Uh,
bigger than hip hop doc. Put doc on the end.
oh,
DOC.
Doc, DOC.
Yeah.
Hashtag is bigger than hip hop Doc. I keep leaving the Doc part off.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's tweet that out so that we can get that hashtag jumping for the weekend, even all day throughout the day tomorrow. One thing that you can do to help raise awareness about the documentary is by pushing the hashtag on all of your social media platforms. Don't stop at Twitter, hit IG, Facebook, and all of those other spaces. Even fan base. Don't forget those platforms, social, whichever ones you're on, use the hashtag, and then you can post the actual flyer. You can look on I was about to call it the blackboard. You can look it on the in the jumbotron for the flyer and just retweet that out, because if you retweet and don't retweet the quote, it's not gonna pull the account. I mean, it's not gonna pull the hashtag and interrupt the algorithms. Sorry about that. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to the hands. We got Reggie Rock on the stage, 197. Welcome, my brother.
Yeah, what's up, fam? What's up, Dwan? What's up, Miss G? I just want to give y'all props on the space. Definitely want to tell Dwan again, even though I'm a few years older, every time I hear him dropping knowledge, I feel like a student. And that's just how dope he is on the knowledge he's dropping. Few quick points. Was trying to stay focused, but he talked about church. And I had one instance where I had an aunt. She was a teacher. She was trying to get her credentials up. She wasn't taking a instrumental music class, but I guess music appreciation. And I gave her. She asked me for help. I gave her a topic from the choir stand to the concert stage, and we finished that report in an hour, and she got an A+. I remember we from Georgia, so we used Little Richard as one example, and we had like two others. I don't remember the other ones, but in an hour's time, she got an A+ just from dropping those type of facts of how integral at that time, anyway, that the church was to our secular performers. Um, James Brown. I befriended James Brown's daughter on Facebook, and I had let her know back then you could leave your kids at home for a little while. I said, hey, your pops was my babysitter at home because I had to wait till my mom's got home from work, and when I'm learning drums, I'm playing Cold Sweat. It was old at the time, but my mom's was church, so she wasn't buying records no more. So she said, Reggie, I heard you waiting on the block, beat on them drums, play low, play quieter. But so I let her listen. She kind of seemed like she appreciated that. And I appreciate it too. Actually, James Brown had a house in St. Albans where I live, in the good part of St. Albans. I don't think he stayed there anymore, but every time I bust past that block, we'd be looking to see if we could see James Brown. So I always think that was pretty funny because he probably wasn't even living there anymore at the time. And as far as what hip hop means to me, being that I'm part of that younger part of that first generation. If I'm qualified to be in that first generation, I was in the younger part, not old enough to get in clubs, but old enough to go to the parks, and just to see how it has transitioned, just to know that I see where it started at to something we was just doing, not really taking it seriously, to see what it's grown to the and something I know that we invented. So that's why all that Busta Rhymes stuff and the Puerto Rican dude that really pisses me off because I was old enough to know that they lying, and it upsets me that a lot of our artists today, especially from New York, know that they're lying and won't say anything. So I'm glad we had got Dwan and Tariq holding it down for us. So thanks for a couple of minutes to speak. And again, Dwan, like I said, I'm always a student, almost ready to take out a notepad and write down what you're saying because you always dropping knowledge for us. All right, have a good weekend, everybody.
Much love and appreciation, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, and go to my website right now and get the live stream premiere. Even if you can't make it, still purchase the premiere and
Oh,
it'll
you
be
definitely
a
gonna get the donation from me. You definitely
yeah,
gonna get it. Definitely, most
yeah,
definitely.
yes. And we're gonna be watching it and really breaking it down because the whole point is, I said long ago, working with kids, man. I'm gonna do the best of my ability to where another generation of black folks don't go without us knowing how great we are, in whatever way I can put in that. And this is the picture all of us need help painting. Just know that
Yeah,
we need multiple. We need multiple documentaries. We need multiple people working on different aspects of our culture that you see from your perspective. Whatever it is that you do well and that you know a little bit of history about, we need people who have an inclination to talk about it and teach us about it, to throw their hat in the race and teach us about it, because our culture is bigger than hip hop. It's bigger than music. Music is the lane that I've chosen to highlight our greatness in. There are other lanes out there. There are plenty of lanes. We do so many great things. We need to understand the black greatness in construction, but we need our architects to tell that story. We need somebody who's a chef and who's in the food to talk about the black greatness in our culinary skills. We need the people who are into painting to talk about the black artists, and the engineers out there to talk about the black engineers. And we need all that. And because no matter how far back you go, the further you go back, the blacker it gets in America. You know what I mean? Every white boy you see do something great, usually he learned it from a nigga. You know what I mean? So, and it is not just with music. We need everybody to tell these stories from their point of view. I'm gonna close the room out pretty soon because I don't like people having people here all night. Um, Miss G, go ahead and said you have to thank you for all the speakers that came up. Appreciate y'all. Um, and so, but Miss G, go ahead and say what you got to say. Then we'll be get out of here. If somebody else wants to speak, raise your hand real quick. If it's quick, I'll let you speak. But go ahead, Miss G.
All right, all right. Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for the space. I'm so proud of you for everything that you're doing with this documentary. So we're gonna go hard together until Sunday night, right?
Yeah.
So, so be looking out because our brother will be post. We're gonna do at least another. You want to come through tomorrow with another music space?
Yeah, I'm gonna upload this space up to YouTube tonight.
All right,
I'm,
cool.
I'm gonna do a YouTube show tomorrow, and probably in the morning on music, and then we could do another Twitter space tomorrow.
All right, cool. So we're gonna rock it out, rocking and rolling. I'm so proud of him for doing this because we always say we need somebody to do this, we need somebody to do that, or we need to take back our stuff, or why people do these things to us. This is us controlling the narrative. So much so that we created all because of this, we actually created a new, just something new that we're trying with the black media that is out there right now. So in addition to is bigger than hip hop, we're creating like a huge alliance with social media personalities, online magazines, as well as news sources and podcasters. And we are really giving them access with the digital press pass. So with these digital press passes, you will be able to speak during the panel discussions because it's not going to stop at Sunday's event. We're expanding and evolving this conversation in online events as well as in person events. And so hit myself or Dewan up at info@missgiselle.com or info@DwannB.com. Isn't that yours, Dewan?
Yep, that's
Yep.
info@1b.com.
Yeah, so we're collecting just the media, and when things start coming off, you guys get the first immediate access. And for those platforms, we're asking if you want to join in, host a conversation talking about this topic. Just building up the momentum. This is going to be a huge, huge thing. And if you do so, you also get access to asking a question during a Q&A on Sunday. So it's a couple of huge things that we're doing. We already have like a set of media outlets that we've already spoken with and reached out to. So this is getting ready to be bigger than anything that you can imagine, starting with this bigger than hip hop. And is really creating an ecosystem for how our media is circulated throughout the world. You know, we're controlling the narrative. This is how we get that started. So again, thank you so much, Dewan, just for taking the lead in everything that you're doing. And everybody who are if you have your own media platform, hit us up so we can hook you up. Because there's beautiful things to come, especially in 2024. And on that note, I'm gonna pass the mic back to you, my brother.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, just in closing, I just want to say that music is everything. And it means to you what it means to you. And even if you don't consciously listen to music and consciously most people, a lot of people just kind of hear what's on the radio, and you may not be that into it. You're not going to watch a movie without a song. You can't get through a TV commercial without a song. Nothing happens in America. Only thing that happens without a song is reading a book. Hell, even I read my book to jazz, but everybody to each his own. But nothing happens without a song. We got to remember that. And so the music, that's what we dominate. Before I about to get out here, but I saw Twizzle wanted to speak. Um, Twizzle, go ahead.
Hey, happy Friday to the friends, families, and folks, man. And I just want to say, DB, dude, congratulations on your thing, dude. And the next one, man, you gotta let me know, man, so I can come down and support you, bro. That shit looked real
Yeah.
beautiful, man. And you know, as me being music, me coming from music, I like that shit, especially a live band. There's nothing more than the instruments playing, dude, to feel the vibes run through you, especially the strums of the guitar. Man, that was beautiful, man. So the next one you have, man, let me know, man, and I slide down like I'm finna, slide down like I'm Santa Claus on the chimney. You understand me? So hey, y'all,
It's
happy
going.
Friday, everybody, man. You know, and I'm finna land my plane there. So hey, do your thing, man.
I appreciate that, man. The next one is gonna be Wednesday, November 22nd. We going every other Wednesday, so you gotta be out here on Wednesdays. The next one's gonna be on the 22nd, and I got some eating. I had Truth Hurts as my surprise guest at the last one. Um, shit, I got a couple surprises on the next one. Um, and so yeah, I can't say more than that. But
We go network. We
yeah,
go network, and I'm gonna be there, man, for sure. You understand me? Yeah. Happy Friday,
yeah.
everybody, man. You know, if you shut this space down, man, let's get another one going, somebody. You know, cause I'm just now getting in, man. I just left a business dinner, and I'm ready to turn up, man. I'm ready to walk it like I talk it, man. You know, I want to play some music, and I'm ready to get in where I fit. I wish you would play some music, man. Let's get it started because you a good host in this shit. You a good director in this shit. Not only that, you can be a good navigator in this shit. So you need to have a music space, DV. You know what I'm saying? On the real.
Yeah.
Yeah, my music space. I usually do that over on Mixcloud, and I still might. I gotta get off. 'Cause I got something
You
to do
need to do
now.
one on here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like on here is cool, but Mixcloud you get the full sound. You don't get this little cheap echo through Twitter. You get the real thing. But it come but I do it it's I have it through my streaming platform. It still comes on here. It doesn't come through in a space format, but it'll come through on my page and you can listen to it and have way more clear sound than through a space. But who knows? If I do the mix cloud, I may turn it in, I may just turn the space back on and just have a speaker playing for those who do want to hear it through a space. I might do that next time I do a missed out. I can't guarantee a missed out. I'll know by 8:30 and 9 because I got somewhere something I gotta do real quick. And then I got a bottle of wine over there I'm gonna crack open. So when that bottle of wine start getting drunk down and I get on my second and third
You
blunt,
hella
the
stupid.
spirit might hit me to do some music.
Hey, when we do it, you know what we need to do? We need to do an 80s night. Remember how the old school 80s used to be, the late 80s, early 90s? Like how the Zap,
Yeah.
Roger, and all that? We was just playing that shit tonight, dude, and we was having a ball. We was reminiscing on how it used to be back in those days, dude, like SOS Band, Cameo, and shit like that, dude. Man, we was in here reminiscing. So, yeah, we gonna make some shit happen, bro. So I'm finna start putting my shit together so I can come down and fuck with you on the 22nd. So, hey, everybody, happy
Yeah.
Friday, good night, and I'll see y'all on the next space. Peace.
Sorry. Sorry. Miss Gigi, anything you want to say?
No, I did. It's difference was trying to come up. Did you want to bring them up? I know you had to go.
If it's quick, different, go ahead and say it, but it got to be quick.
Okay. All right. I just let them up.
Go ahead, different. Make it quick, brother.
It looks like he's still connecting.
Oh yeah, Twitter be on that Down syndrome shit.
It
Uh,
really is.
and since it became X,
It's
it's
on
been
dial up. This look like American Online in real life.
yeah, yeah. These motherfuckers. This is a we get he got his Twitter through Netscape. Um, but go ahead, brother. Is he in there?
It's still connected.
This motherfucker got MS DOS Twitter. Um, his, his Twitter came with a floppy disk. Well, it's all good. Different. I
You
mean,
hella stupid. That nigga said floppy disk. The old school guy.
yeah, yeah,
Trying to come back
yeah.
up. He
Man,
dropped down and
bro.
trying to come back up.
Hey, DB, we gonna have to DM, man, because I'm gonna need some information, addresses, and everything, bro. I'm finna probably book my ticket probably tomorrow or Sunday. So yeah, I'm coming to fuck with you,
Hit
bro.
me
You
up.
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Hit,
for sure.
hit me up.
Okay.
Go ahead, different. Are you
Yeah,
there?
I'm here.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, make it quick, my brother.
All right. Well, actually, the conversation is about hip hop, but I wanted to kind of stir to R&B because it's kind of like the same thing with R&B saying that a lot of the R&B today don't sound the same as it did like back then because of the church. But to be honest with you, that's not true. It's still a lot of people in the church. The problem is it's the main media. They're not putting on like the main media is not putting on these people that had these type of talents no more.
We kind of covered that part a little bit earlier
Oh,
about
really?
how difference between what's out there, what we put out, and what they put out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All right. It's covered. All right.
yes, sir. Um, but go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, it's my main point was it's still a lot of like my main point was it's still a lot of talented singers out here. It's just that they're not really putting them on. They're letting because they're letting a few on like Bruno Mars or Beyonce or something like that. Like, and it's not true. Like it's a lot. Like it's way more talented singers out here.
Yes, sir. I gotta get up out of here. We covered that part a little bit earlier, but thanks
Okay,
for
yeah,
that.
brother. All right.
Yeah, yeah, we got
Thank
yeah. But yeah, for what it's saying, we got artists like Leland James out there, Brandon Williams, Alex Izzy. They all dropped albums just within the last month. Truth Hurts, like I said, she did my show this past week. We got some other dope soul artists that are coming out with albums, and one of them I can't announce her, but she's actually going to. She's legendary Neil Soul artist. She's going to drop her new track at my show on the 22nd. Uh, like, but you have to be there to find out who it is. Um, but yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of great artists out there. Understand the difference between what they put out and what we listen to. And live music is still alive. It's still well. It's still in great shape. It's just not. We just can't wait for them to highlight it. That's not what they're gonna do. You know, they're degenerates, so they're gonna highlight degeneracy. That's just what it is. They're gonna highlight what they relate to. They never acknowledged that when we were putting out music like the OJs. They still to this day won't acknowledge the OJs and all that good, fun, love music that they put out because they don't connect to the OJs. They don't connect to Curtis Mayfield. They don't connect to Aretha. And the only time they gave Marvin the Grammys when he did Sexual Healing. They wasn't about to give Marvin the Grammy for the rest of that stuff. They don't connect to it, you know. So that other music is shit that they connect to. That's their shit. Our shit is much. We still got the love and the soul in the music, and it's out. But follow me on YouTube. This will be put up on YouTube at a different time. This video will be put up on YouTube. Um, I might do an instant ash race tonight, depending on if I get done what I gotta get done real quick. If I get done before 9, I'm gonna do it. If it's after 9, I probably won't. That specific time. And yeah, my documentary premieres on Sunday. Sunday. Go to DwannB.com to purchase your registration link to the Q&A. The documentary is free, but the Q&A is raising funds for the full series. A series is already in production. All right. And remember this: there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. Thank y'all for listening. We out.